Welcome to Alumni Stadium here in the Forest City. For the first time in 113 occasions, the Canadian Bowl has come to the Forest City. The London Beefeaters find themselves in their first ever appearance for a national title as they'll be taking on the 10-1 Langley Rams that are the best in the West. My name is John Urban, happy to be joined by Ron Forwarda, and this is the 113th Canadian Bowl live on CJFL TV. Thanks for joining us. A noon kickoff Eastern Standard Time, but 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Ron. You got to get the pot of coffee for BC fans out west.
Yeah, again, thank you very much for joining us here on CJFL TV. We're thrilled to be here from Alumni Stadium here in Western. A lot of excitement in the air, John. This is two teams that really weren't expecting to be here, had a lot of magic happen to get here. Langley 10-1 has really been a dominant team. Beefeaters, a lot of magic happened to get here in the last 2 minutes of the football game against the St. Clair Fratmen to pull off the upset.
Let's get the elephant out of the room right off the top of the broadcast. Their name are the Saskatoon Hilltops, and they have had nothing but domination. To pretty much understate it, Ron, it's been November 9th, 2013. That was the last time a team not named the Saskatoon Hilltops hoisted the Canadian Bowl. On that occasion, the Regina Thunder beat the Vancouver Island Raiders 55-26. Since then, it's been all Hilltops, baby. The recent domination, yes, it will be relinquished today, but not after leaving with a league-high 22 Canadian Bowl victories. However, as I mentioned, one of these teams, the London Beefeaters or the Langley Rams, will be trying to capture their first, in franchise's history respectively, Canadian Bowl championship.
A little bit of a history, talk about being a bridesmaid. The Langley Rams have been there for the last 6 years and have come out as bridesmaids last six times. The Beefeaters, this is the first time punching their ticket for the Canadian Bowl. It's new charted territory. It's the first time that we're hosting the game in London, Ontario. We're thrilled to be here. A lot of firsts today. For me, key to the game, I think, John, I really think both these teams have hung their hat on defense. And I think it's special teams as well. So which defensive line can get pressure on the quarterbacks, stop the other team's potent run games, and make a play or two as special teams, those are the keys for me.
They say the offense sells the tickets as the faithful here in the Forest City still pile into Alumni Stadium located on the campus of Western University. But you're right, Ron. Defense wins you championships, and that's why these two teams are playing it all on the line for the CJFL title here today. Going back to your previous point about being a bridesmaid for the Langley Rams, 0-4 in their program history in Canadian Bowl appearances. Ironically enough, Ron, all 4 occasions they dropped to the Saskatoon Hilltops, including 2019, 2018, 2014, and a heartbreaker back in 2012, the first appearance for the Langley Rams. Now get this, technically the franchise is 0-5 if you include the 35-18 loss that the Surrey Rams suffered to the Ottawa Sooners back in 1992 before moving to the lovely town of Langley.
Yeah, and again, just the Rams have, they're really looking to rewrite their history. One of the factors for me as well is it's a noon kickoff Eastern here. That is a 9 o'clock Western time. They left Toronto at 6:30 this morning, 3:30, West time. There's a lot of factors. Will they have their legs under them? I think that's going to be a factor early in this game.
The Rams have one magnificent coaching staff to boost them behind, led by Corey Philpott, the CFL legend himself. He flew his squad down to the 6 of Toronto on Thursday. They got off the plane, went right to the Argos indoor facility and started practicing, Ron. They mean business. 2,000 miles. That's 3,200 kilometers for our Canadian folks to travel by air for this championship dance.
Yeah, that's a big ask. Just a little bit of background on Mr. Philpott. He is a former BC Lion. He played the University of Mississippi. He's a 2-time winner of the Eddie James Memorial Trophy as a top rusher in the Western CFL.
And remember, he had the CFL touchdown record until Milt Stegall of my Winnipeg Blue Bombers decided to break it.
Yeah, again, Milt Stegall, another great receiver. But again, Mr. Philpott's, outstanding coach, great pedigree. It's going to be really great to see 2 really outstanding coaches in this game. Let's talk about Coach Gavin Lake a little bit.
Yeah, Gavin Lake comes in with a ton of credentials at the university, high school, and here at the CJF level. 26 years of experience, including being a part of that 2017 Grey Cup championship squad for the Toronto Argonauts.
Yeah, again, he's really hung his hat. His calling card has really been special teams, and we've seen that this year, John, through our broadcast. The Beefeaters have really had an outstanding special teams, blocking kicks, returning kicks, making those instant impact plays. That's really been a key for them this year.
Now take your broadcasting hat off and put your fan hat on, Ron. What would you rather be doing right now? Would you be a fan of a team looking for their, first championship on their 5th dance? Or would you rather be a fan of the franchise in their first dance, looking for their first ship?
As a football fan, myself, it's hard to get excited. It's kind of like it's the same old song and dance. What are we going to do this time? Maybe this will be the opportunity. The first time you're there, it's always really, really special. And again, hosting the game, that makes it even more special for the Beefs.
First time in 113 occasions that it will be hosted here in London. And ironically, we got to mention this. No Canadian Bowl last year. That's the first time in Canadian Bowl history that the Bowl has gone on hiatus since World War II.
Yeah,
the only other occasion before that was World War I. So it shows you that it takes an incredible amount of things to go wrong with our world to stop a Canadian Bowl from happening.
And again, there's been a lot of factors, a lot of different things that have gone into it to make this actually happen today.
Here at Western.
There
were even rumors that this game might have gone down to Windsor, Ontario.
There was rumors that it might have had to go down to Windsor or Brantford, up the highway a little bit.
Well, let's talk about how these two teams got here to this national championship game, starting with the visiting Langley Rams. As I mentioned to you before, Ron Forwarda, they are considering this the redemption tour. Again, 4 times they've made a Canadian Bowl Finals appearance. On all 4 occasions, they lost to the Saskatoon Hilltops. But in their last game, the national semifinal, oh my word, it must have tasted so good. They finally defeated the Saskatoon Hilltops in a truly Canadian-style game, 17-14 for the 3rd consecutive Canadian Bowl appearance.
Yeah, and this is a shout-out to a friend of mine who says, kickers aren't people. And I've always been, the type of person who said, if you haven't got a kicker, you haven't got anything. Welcome to the Canadian game. Both these teams made it here on the legs of their kickers.
Now, the Rams did force 13 turnovers, Ron. I thought that was a typo. BC Conference Defensive Player of the Year Kyle Claret collected a team-high 6 tackles. Colton DeJean and Cole Barron each had an intercepted pass. Tyler Eckert, though, was named the Defensive Player of the Game, which was a major factor with his 4 tackles, 2 sacks, and a fumble recovery late in the 4th quarter to set up that game-winning field goal.
Yeah, and again, both these teams made plays later in the game. I believe it was approximately a minute 30 left in the game that caused the fumble and then set them up for the go-ahead field goal again.
QB Michael Culver completed 19 passes for 229 yards and threw a touchdown to Derek Best, the BC Conference Rookie of the Year. Daniel Kabongo made an impact in the second half for the Rams with 4 catches and 39 yards. But again, it all came down to the kicker, Ron. As you mentioned, they are people too. Tato Ferreira. After the fumble recovery, mind you, by the defense, and Tyler Eckert was able to knock down the 8-yard field goal to advance them to this national championship game.
And again, really spectacular day. We're looking really, really forward to this. The campus of Western Ontario Alumni Stadium. For us, this is the first time that we've been here in a few years, John. Last time here, the turf was a little bit different.
And the last time we were here, the Hilltops were on the field taking on the Beefeaters in a national semifinal, and it didn't fare too well for the home team on that occasion.
Well, the Eastern teams usually didn't fare very well. The Beefeaters are really hoping to flip that script today, hosting the game.
So there's that fumble, by the way, that really set it up with 4:20 left in the game. Yeah, raised above your head is right, Tyler Eckert, as again, it was the Rams recovering the ball, 14-14, and this Tato Ferreira field goal ends up being the game winner, and the redemption tour continues for the Rams as again they beat the Hilltops in the semifinal, Ron, after losing to this franchise 4 times in a national championship game.
Yeah, and again, just really great job high pointing the ball on that interception to close it out there for the Langley Rams.
And there you see it. I mean, they called it the Gordie Howe Bowl when it was here, but I don't think they're going to call that anymore now that it's finally leaving Saskatoon for it feels like the first time in a decade.
Yeah, exactly. And again, great job by Coach Philpotts and the Langley Rams. Congratulations on doing that, getting the monkey off the back.
Now, there is a 3-conference league in the CJFL, so actually 2 conferences play in a semifinal, and the other gets a bye to the final. Now, this rotates between the conferences as the years go on. London was the beneficiary of that, as all they had to do was win the OFC Championship, the Teddy Morris Trophy, and they got to host this national game. So as we went from one crazy game between the Langley Rams and the Hilltops, let's try and switch you over now to the last game for the Beefeaters, as this was a true doozy, Ron Kawarda from Windsor, Ontario. I mean, it was a 3-0 game at halftime for the home squad, and then they trailed the Beefeaters 14-0 in the dying minutes of play, and somehow, some way, a team that had beaten the Beefeaters twice in the regular season had everything fall off the wagon in the dying minutes.
Yeah, it really was lightning struck, magic in a bottle, call it what you will, but we're going to start seeing the highlights of it here. Right here is kind of the turning point for me. They went for it. They thought they were going to go for it. They took the knee.
Conceded the safety. They conceded 2 safeties in the fourth quarter.
But that made the field positions flip, and here's where it all started. High snap. This is going to be recovered in the end zone for a touchdown by the Beefeaters.
Now, all he had to do was fall on that ball, and it would have been a safety, right, Ron?
Right, and then we're not having this conversation, that we are now. Again, kick the extra point. What happens next? Well, 3 and out.
41-yard TD strike. McCallum finds his favorite target all season in Spencer Foster.
Spencer Foster on the post play hadn't had a great game until that pass completion. And again, the Fratmen had done a great job of holding all the passing and everything in front of them.
But then they couldn't hold on to the ball. They fumbled it away, and it led to the most Canadian play in all of football for the victory. The Rouge, Ron Kawarda, yes, the Rouge captures the Teddy Morris Championship for the Beefeaters as they are back-to-back OFC champs and get to host their first national championship here today on Beefs TV.
Yeah, and again, just really an honor for us, John, myself. Thank you very much for joining us as the Langley Rams are coming out of the stadium and heading over to the field.
Navy blue pants, gray uniforms, white buckets, and I mentioned this to you pregame, Ron. Looks like some of them have earned their horns on their helmet, and others are young bucks still looking to earn their stripes, so to speak.
I think this is a very veteran team. I think this is going to be a very, very physical team. The one thing that struck me about when I did watch a little bit of film on them is they are athletic and they're big on defense and they fly to the ball.
And you can hear the small contingency, yes, of Langley Ram fans that made the 2,000-plus mile air travel down to the Forest City to cheer on their team. 1 4-quarter effort away from being the national champions of Canada for the first time in franchise history.
And for us, here comes a team that we're very familiar with. All red, silver helmets, the London Beefeaters.
Beefeaters, founded in 1975, but it took all the way till 2012 for them to first earn their first OFC championship. That's when they defeated the Hamilton Hurricanes 1916. However, they would go on to play who? The Saskatoon Hilltops, who denied them any entry into the national dance in 2012 with a 51-7 victory. Then we go to October 27th of 2019. The Beefeaters earned their second OFC title, beating the Windsor AKO Fratmen 28-20 at Alumni Field. And then they hosted a semifinal against who? The Saskatoon Hilltops. And again, the Hilltops put up 50 points. London wasn't able to match it, and were denied a second straight occasion going to the national dance at the hands of the Hilltops. Well, it's a redemption tour for the Langley Rams. It's got to be a little bit of a redemption tour for the Beefeaters.
Yeah.
They beat the rebranded St. Clair Fratmen, who beat them on 2 occasions in the regular season to get to this championship game. And oh yeah, no Hilltop standing in her way this time, because the Rams took care of that.
Yeah, the elephant's out of the room, so to speak. Congratulations to the Rams. They exercised their demons. Now the Beefeaters get a chance to exercise the Ontario Demons.
I'll quote another Canadian sport, basketball, and it seems like, King James was in the East for all so long, and finally when he went over to the Lakers, it's like the whole Eastern Conference breathed a sigh of relief and went, wait, we actually have a chance now to get to a championship game. Well, go to the CJFL. The Hilltops are out of the picture, guys, for the first time since 2014. Their 7-year reign of domination over the Canadian Bull will be relinquished here today, but will it be a first championship for the host London Beefeaters, or the first in 5 occasions for the Langley Rams?
And again, we've talked about this, off the air. John and I have. This is a really athletic team. Both these teams have built this on defense. Langley is very, very athletic. They move a lot. They like to disguise coverages, speed everywhere, and they hit you from the linebacker position. The Beefeaters is all being on the defensive front and their linebackers. They bring pressure, they bring pressure, they bring pressure. The big key for the Beefeaters, in my estimation, can they get that magic play on special teams, John?
The captains head out to the logo at midfield for the ceremonial coin toss, and this is a pretty unique one. Sergeant J. Riddle, who joined the Canadian Armed Forces Military Police in 2009. He was a former member and coach of the London Beefeaters. In fact, he was an offensive captain as a slot back in 96 and 97 and returned in 98 as the assistant coach. He's currently posted 21 military police flights in an 8-wing Trenton Air Force base. Well, he's presenting the coin at midfield. And on the front of the coin, the head side is the NATO star, which reads ISFA COMKAF, which stands for the Afghanistan Commander of Kandahar Airfield Headquarters. And he was presented this coin, Ron, in 2011 after assisting and saving the lives of 8 U.S. soldiers. So a little bit of Canadian history going on today, but a nice piece of Canadiana added to this coin flip at midfield.
Yeah, and again, to everybody in the military, in their military families, we thank you very much for doing what you do. We don't have the opportunity of doing this, John, without the sacrifices of these brave men and women.
So in a touching moment at midfield at the 55-yard line before we start off this 113th Canadian Bowl, as the coin is flipped, and it sounds so cheesy, Ron, but this is where the game really begins. London wins the coin toss, defers as they normally do under Gavin Lake, and it looks like they want the Rock to start off the second half of action.
Yeah, so the Langley Rams are going to receive the ball here on the kick. Let's see if they've got something up their sleeves early in this game. We see a lot of hope, special moments for the Beefeaters. They are not afraid to gamble. Gavin Lake and his staff are gamblers. They are not playing here to just get to this game. They're in this to win it. Both teams are.
Well, you want to talk about defense winning you championships? Let's not forget 2 games ago for the Langley Rams, they defeated the Okanagan Sun 7-4 to become the 3-time defending champions of the West. We'll get into more of that after the national anthem, which is going to be sung here live from Alumni Stadium at Western University. So we'll be back on the other side after the national anthem.
Our home and native land, true patriot love, in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free.
From 1925 to 1975, the Canadian Championship was known as the Leader Post Trophy. From 1976 to 1988, the Canadian Championship was then known as the Armadale Cup. Well, since then, it's simply been known as the Canadian Bowl. And are you ready to dig into the 113th edition? We will have a first-time champion, but will it be the Langley Rams coming in with a 10-1 record, or will it be the host London Beefeaters at 8-2?
You know, probably about 3:30, 4 o'clock this afternoon, John. Someone's going to be hoisting that trophy at midfield, and we're going to have that answer. And couldn't be more thrilled to bring it to you guys here. Again, thank you very much. Just a shout out. Jen Hannon was the one doing the national anthem. Thank you very much for Jen. Great job here. I'm excited, Johnny. This is really a great day for football. Hey, anytime in southwestern Ontario in December, we don't have snow, it's a good day.
He's the gentleman that kicked the game-winning Rouge in the OFC Championship game. That's Leo Centeno. He is going to kick this ball away from the 45 to get the festivities going. So once again, you are watching the Leggett Injury Lawyer Canadian Bowl live here on Beefs TV. Your loved one's future is why. Go to Leggett or LeggettLaw.ca. So once again, the ball is put on the 45-yard line. The Rams ready to do battle. As you see the main returner coming over to the near side here, Ron. That's Daniel Kabongo. He was the BC Conference Rookie of the Year. It is the Beefeaters. It is the Rams. It is the 113th Canadian Bowl live here on CJFL TV. Let's dig into some Canadian football history right now. As they get tricky with it off the gate, London recovers, Ron, but there is a flag at the 53-yard line.
I just had that feeling that something was going to happen. I think you got procedure. The Beefeaters went off a little bit early there. Unfortunately, great opportunity. Caught them sleeping a little bit. Knew it was coming, Johnny.
Gavin Lake doing his best Ron DMC impression coming into the first play of the game. Getting tricky. So, wow, though, Ron, you called it. Just trying to catch the other team off guard. Well, they threw themselves off guard, and they're going to have to do it all over again 5 yards back at the 40.
Yeah, so like the Langley's offense came out on the field. They were kind of expecting just to get the ball there, and it's like, wait a second here. No. If you decline the penalty, Beefeater's ball. So I think that they're going to take the penalty here, and I think now the kind of genie's out of the bottle, so to speak. Look for them to try to kick it deep.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to try the same trick twice. As Devin Smith having a bit of a conversation with the official on the far sidelines. I'm wondering if he was the gentleman that was called offside on that last try at the opening kickoff. We're very far away. We're not going to hear the numbers or the indications. I mean, I hate to say this, Ron. The very first play of the game could have really changed up the dynamic already.
Yeah, it caught him. So let's wait and to see. I think they're not going to catch him again here. Look for the ball to be driven deep here.
So once again, Centeno lines up, and you are right, a healthy boot that actually bounces at the 22-yard line, having to go and get this back and stumbling around the 12-yard line and picking it up for these Rams, and then finding space down the far sideline, eventually pushed out of bounds by Devin Smith, trying to make out the number on that gray uniform, Ron.
Yeah, the numbers are going to be hard for us to pick up here. Oh, and we see there's some extracurricular, some laundry there.
And Langley giving it to the Beefeaters, and rightfully so. They've already trolled them into their first penalty yard. Something that you noted throughout the regular season. Sometimes this team can't keep their heads cool.
Yeah, it's unnecessary roughness, rough play against the Beefeaters. The ball would have been stopped inside the 40. It was going to the 38. Now we're almost at midfield. 53-yard line for the Langley Rams to start here.
Great field positioning, as they're literally 2 yards away from entering their opponent's zone. Culvert, as I mentioned, an incredible quarterback who had 19 passes and 229 yards in the last game for the Rams, will take the first offensive snap of the game. Two wag of the line. He's got options to the left side. It's a handoff instead, though. Right up the gut. Hard to take this kid down. I think that was Kyle Claret.
Yeah, again, we're hard to see the numbers here, but it's just a straight dive play inside zone. They swung the back out to try to get the linebacker to chase, and they just ran basically right the inside zone, right where the linebacker chased from.
And what am I thinking? Of course, it's Derek Best on the carry. Derek Best actually caught a touchdown pass and did a lot of damage on the ground in that 17-14 win over the Hilltops. So Get ready to see a lot of Derek Best, as it seems like an I formation right now from the Rams. They have 3 options once again to the left side. Does Calvert decide to go to the air again? No, more of a ground attack here. Sandwiched between 2 Beefeaters at the 40. They're not going to let him go anywhere this time. And you can see the beef, and I'm not talking about the Beefeaters, in between the plays.
Yeah, again, really, these teams have really built it on offensive line and defensive play. It is going to be a battle of the trenches. Which one of them? The Beefeaters have dominated opponents all year with the defensive line, getting pressure without having to blitz. That's been the key for the Beefeaters. Big pass rushers. Langley, it's a ground and pound team.
Joel Klassen in on the carry the last time. He had 18 carries for 73 yards in that Cullen Cup championship when they beat the Okanagan Sun 7-4. As this one is handed off. Ooh, I thought maybe a little bit of a horse collar there, Ron, but nothing thrown from the officials. In on the nasty tackle is Nick Samus.
Yeah, Samus, the linebacker, just does a great job. They understand their assignment on this. This is, I think, going to be kind of a theme today. It's going to be run, run, run. It's going to be a field position game. Both teams trying to get each other's, trying to, it's the body blows early. That's what's going to add up. Both these teams run the ball very, very well.
There does appear to be a Ram on a knee right now, and that is Colton DeJean. If I could make out the numbers, I believe it's 22 down at the 50. And that would be a big blow to the Rams' defense, as again, they're getting ready, I would assume, to kick a punt given the elements here today. It was 3 degrees at kickoff, Ron. We have roughly 37-kilometer-hour winds coming from the western direction, but there can be gusts up to 50. And to be honest with you, I don't think that's going to play favorable to either Tato Ferreira, Araya, Centino, or Stackhouse, for that matter.
And a correction, I believe that was the big fullback, number 27, Mr. Best. That was actually the one who was left up there.
You hit it on the head, partner. So it will be the Rams. Well, 0 for 1 as far as their offensive drives is concerned, but they're okay with this field battle position here early. As it's a fake punt. They're getting tricky with it. The Rams have something up their sleeve, too. Cutting in for the first down and more. Eventually tackled down at the 15-yard line. Do you like how tricky they got with it, Ron?
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. This is a great play design here. Just checking here. They've got something on the edge here. Outflanked it. And again, great pass rush. Trying to get something going. Couple really good blocks on the edge there by Langley. Outside you go. Caught him off guard.
Beefeaters tried to open up this game with some trickery with an offside kick that, was taken back because they were offside. And now it looked like the Rams were going to boot this ball away. Well, no, some trickery by the special teams in their sleeves allows a first down in the red zone and Culver to go back to work. He's got 2 running the line to the right side. A broken play action, flushed out of the pocket, tried to stiff arm his way off of a tackle, just hucks the rock away, Ron, before being smothered down to the turf.
Yeah, and this is what we were talking about. Some of that pressure that the Beefeaters like to do. They're really, really good rushing the passer, getting pressure. You can see the linebacker coming right through. Good job of stretching them out here. I think there's also a little bit of a missed assignment as they're looking for a little RPO there, but both the backs had picked up pass protection on that.
Ball at the 17. As again, a second down play coming up here. And once again, I think it was MC18, the quarterback for the Rams, going off and getting some instructions from the coaching staff before joining his brothers back in the circle. 3 options to the left side. Are we going to get our first pass of the game? We do. This one is reeled in, caught, and he's just knocked out of bounds before the first down marker. That was Darian Pritchard.
Yeah, Pritchard just a little flat pass and then just get your athlete the ball in space. Really close to a first down here. Actually, no, they're going to see that he stepped out earlier before this ball stretched out.
Now, are the Rams going to play it safe here and just go for the field goal and take the points?
Yeah, at this point, John, you've both kind of spent your bullet. What do you got? For special. This is an opportunity to get points. You want to establish that early. So look for the Rams. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't kick this ball here, John.
This will be a 17-yard attempt for Tato Ferreira. Remember, he had an 8-yard field goal to advance his team to this championship game. The kick is through, and just like that, it's a 3-0 game for the Langley Rams in the 113th Canadian Bowl with 11:22 remaining in the first quarter.
Well, the body blows have both been exchanged here, so, Langley's trying to, you can kind of clearly see, Langley's trying to establish that run game. They want want to get their fullback going. They want to get the ball flats, and we kind of knew that was the game plan. The Beefeaters, absorbed that blow. They took that trick play. They didn't work out for them. They had one go against them, but they held firm. This is kind of being the calling card of this team. That defense, great pressure here. Now let's see if Langley has something up their sleeve.
It's funny you said that, Ron, because I'm looking at them running out to the 35-yard line, and I'm like, do they have something up their sleeves now? And I'm sure the guys on the front line for the Beefeaters, including, you see here on the near side, Ron, Sam Ruby, they got to keep their eyes out.
Yeah, Sam Ruby, the big tight end, slot back, kind of wide position player. I think you're going to see a kick here. Langley wants to play defense.
So it's kind of a squib kick. I don't know if that touched the Beefeater at the 35, but it is picked up the carpet. I think this is Taz Van Bell down the near sidelines, using the field to his advantage, eventually commandeered off the field around the 43-yard line.
Yeah, again, really good field position for both teams to start here. Okay, so now let's see what Clark McCallum, the quarterback for the Beefeaters, the all-time leading passer for the Beefeaters, the fifth-year player. So that's the other thing that you've got to factor into this. Both these teams had the bonus year with the COVID Super Seniors.
We had a military ceremony before the game with a ceremonial coin toss, and I see almost like a military-style plane flying above us. The flyby's just a little late.
A little bit late, but hey, better than nothing at all.
A handoff for the Beefeaters' first play of the game, kind of sliding off this rug. I will mention this, new turf, new track here at Western University, and when I was down on it for the first time myself, Ron, I'm noticing, again, I'm wearing dress shoes, mind you, but that seemed like a slip and slide down there.
Yeah, a little bit slick. It's not quite worn in yet. Not a lot of action's been on the field, but beautiful turf. Jeff Klubine, the graduate of Beale High School in London, Ontario here with the inside zone on that first play.
So a 2nd and 8 coming up here for the Beefeaters, trailing 3-0. 4 wag to the line. A potential jet sweep. McCallum ducks his way around a sack. Has to get rid of it, but spun down to the ground. Back at the 36-yard line. It'll go down as a sack for the Rams. And in on the damage is Jesse Goldman.
Yeah, I get great pressure there by the Rams. Also, outstanding coverage downfield. McCallum had nowhere to go with that ball there. So we kind of saw the calling card for the Langley Rams. We play defense.
We saw Culvert, though, in the first offensive drive for the Rams, though, get into a similar position and at least throw the ball away to save an intercepted pass.
Well, he also got outside of the pocket. I don't think McCallum got outside of the pocket, so he wasn't able to throw that ball away. You got to take the sack in that one. Punt, play field position.
So once again, we're going to get the boot out, and that is a Leo Centino, according to my depth charts, having the rock skip off the turf. It actually bounced off the hand of Mario Johnson and then just went out of bounds. So it should be at the 50-yard line, very close to the same vicinity of where the Rams started their last drive.
Yeah, so again, Langley's got really good field position again. Let's see if they can get a drive going here. Both teams are kind of, again, I talked about it earlier, I'm going to talk about it ad nauseum. These teams have both really hung their hat on defense in the run games. So now, let's see which run game can really establish themselves now. Little bit different formation. We got a 22 look here, John.
And you see 85 sweeping over to the right side. Calvert's looking over to that right side. A dump pass and maybe a potential screen here, but the Beefeaters do read it well and limit the damage to 3 yards.
Yeah, just a middle screen there to the fullback. They're really trying to get best involved in this. So all you're trying to do is invite a little bit of pressure in, dump it inside, just a drop-off pass. Got about 4 yards on that, John. Second and about 6 here.
And as I mentioned, Best played a factor on the ground game in that 17-14 win over the Hilltops, and also caught a touchdown pass from Culvert, one of his 19 passes in that game for 229 yards. Let's see if they do that sweep again. No, they don't. Instead, they're going to block and get protection for their quarterback. To Huck the Rock, a man behind the defense. He's caught it. First down, Rams.
Yeah, good. Just a seam pass here. So this is slot backs wide open. It's just a straight seam or a straight go. Safety is not playing over wide or inside enough. Gives up the inside momentum on that. Big play for the Langley Rams, and they're back in business inside the 30-yard line.
I believe that was David Osho in on the catch, number 85. And I do apologize to the Langley fans tuning in here on CJFL TV. You know what? We got to add nameplates to these kids' jerseys for next year.
Yeah.
When you win a national championship, you deserve it, Ron. As there's 3 weapons to the right side now for Culver, but he's looking over to the left side. Has a man trying to high-point the ball. A potential chance to intercept it for the Beefeaters, but instead an incomplete pass.
There is a huge block. The Beefeaters brought pressure off the edge, and Best absolutely obliterated the pass rusher. Almost fork trucked him on that. High pass, though, trying to hit that quick inside. Beefeaters were trying to bring pressure. This could be a telltale sale.
And it's safe to say this is imperative to limit them to a field goal, so it's still technically a one-position game here early on home turf. So we'll see for the Beefeaters if they can bend but not break with their second time out on the field defensively. It's a pitch play to the near side, trying to get around that edge, sandwich down around the 10-yard line, and once again, Joel Klassen in on the damage.
Yeah, Joel Klassen was the ball carrier. He's normally a defensive back. He's going to be short of it by about 4 or 5 yards. Just a straight toss play here. Really good job. Nice block on the edge. People are starting to slip a little bit. You're right.
This turf is still had to be worn in a bit.
Well, and these guys, the Beefeaters never played here this year. So they played at Citywide in London, which is a different facility that we have here.
An 18-yard field goal from the left hash. If you remember, Ron Tato, he kicked a 17-yard field goal just a minute ago. Well, 18 yards is good, and with 7:28 remaining in the opening quarter, it's now a 6-0 game for the visiting Rams.
Yeah, again, great job from the Beefeater defense, holding them to the 3 points again. But you can't keep giving up these plays. You can't keep giving up these drives. Now the Beefeaters, they have got to establish something on offense. They went 2 and out last time.
Well, the Langley starts off at the 53-yard line on their opening drive. Some trickery on a fake punt allows Tato Ferreira, or I'm going to get that name correct, Ferrero Arrea, to get a 17-yard field goal with 11:22 remaining in the opening quarter. Then they start the ball at their 50, and they end up kicking an 18-yard field goal with 7:28 remaining here in the opening quarter, and it's now doubled up to a 6-0 lead.
But again, if you're the Beefeaters, they've had the ball inside your 20-yard line twice, and you've held them to outside of the end zone.
It's imperative that they get into Langley territory on this next drive. As this booted all the way to Taz Van Bell, who kind of undercaught that one. Kind of like a center fielder late to the party, the way he reeled that ball in.
Yeah, Taz Van Bell is a kid that we're really familiar with, the Ontario Special Team Player of the Year. There's some All-Canadians on this team as well. Both teams. He has got All-Canadians littered all through their roster.
The lone offensive All-Canadian, though, goes to the Langley Rams. That's Nikos Lazarakis. For the second straight season, he was named an offensive lineman All-Canadian. So congratulations to Nikos Lazarakis. However, like you just mentioned, a plethora on the defensive side for both these two teams, and we'll get into that later in the broadcast. So McCallum goes back out there. As Ron mentioned, the all-time leading passer for these London Beefeaters. He has 3 weapons to his right side. The ball comes loose. McCallum picks it up and limits the damage.
Oh boy, that came the quick. So they're playing a 3-man front, and that time they brought the linebacker. Does a really good job of punching the ball out. That's number 46 for the
Jesse Goldman. We've already mentioned his name a couple times on the defensive side of the ball, and you mentioned it pregame. Defense is going to win you with the championship.
Yeah, again, really good athleticism. Well coached there as well to punch and attack the ball there.
So Klubine's got to be happy. He fumbles the ball away, but his quarterback has his back, and they limits it to a no gain. So now a 2nd and 10 play coming up. McCallum protected in the pocket, swiggles over to the left side, has to get rid of the rock. He doesn't. He's going to be crunched by a couple Rams, still trying to stay on his feet. In fact, Ron, he never went down. The officials saved him by just blowing the whistle down instead.
Yeah, again, just rolled out pressure. Nobody really downfield. They had somebody in the seam early, okay? And Clark McCallum did not see him. A little bit upset about that. He thought it was a high tackle.
Am I being a little bit of a worrywart, though, if I'm a Beefeater fan, as a late flag is thrown at the end of this play? Or the Beefeaters getting a little too chatty?
I think they're getting chatty here, unfortunately, and I think this is going to cost them. Oh, no, they're pointing at Langley now, so hang on a second here.
Hold the phone.
Well, hold that thought. Let's see what's going on here. Yep, it's going against Langley.
Unbelievable that not just late to the party, we're talking about showing up the next morning with the case. How did that happen, Ron?
Well,
the Beefeaters were dead in the water.
Somebody wished somebody pleasant holiday greetings on the way off the field.
Well, I think about one of the first flag after the initial kickoff, it was the same thing. Somebody said something they shouldn't have in front of the official, in front of the Rams bench, and then you got a whole barrage of trolls from the Rams bench just clapping at the Beefeater. Yeah. Take your flag and go home.
Yeah, so, composure. At this age level, it is so hard for these kids to keep their composure, especially in a winner-take-all type of atmosphere like this.
The Rams had McCallum and the Beefeaters pretty much back-pressed against the wall, but now they got a little bit of breathing room on this 1st and 10. Play action, incomplete pass. I think he was trying to find Spencer Foster in on the slant.
Yeah, trying to hit Foster on the slant. This coverage from the Langley Rams is airtight here.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you that because we've seen McCallum tiptoeing and dancing around in the pocket and trying to find space. Is he not seeing the weapons down the field, or are they simply not there?
They're not open, flat out. Right now, they're not. The Beefeaters are not getting the separation from the wide receiver.
Well, I want to mention this because we got caught off by the Canadian National Anthem. The BCFC Cullen Cup Championship was a 7-4 victory, all right? That's the lowest scoring game in CJFL history. It tied the 1978 BC Championship as McCallum sacked again behind the line of scrimmage, and the Rams defense is starting to climb the mountain.
Yeah, again, great pressure. They brought an extra rusher here, just nowhere to step up. They're even showing it. We're coming in the B gap. We're coming. They send him. Then he drops out. But again, at that point, they'd already made their declarations of who's got who. They're playing games up front with the offensive line of the Beefeaters right now, and Langley's winning that battle.
So in 1978, the BC final, well, the Vancouver Marilomas shut out the Renfrew Trojans 11-0. It took till 2021 to tie that record in a 7-4 final, as again, it was the Rams defeating the Okanagan Sun to become the 3-time champions of the West, as Centeno just gets this one away, as the Rams recovery team will let this one bounce out of bounds. It will be the deepest they've started this game, mind you, Ron, back at their own 43.
Yeah, 43-yard line. If that's the worst field position you're going to have all day, I think you're going to take that as a coach all day.
Well, and I hate to say this, but in a weird way, does this style of game benefit the Beefeaters, knowing that they were down 14-0 in the OFC Championship with 2:56 left, and somehow, someway, found the way to the 15-14 victory?
I don't know where and I don't know when it's going to happen, but somewhere there's magic in a bottle that there's going to happen in this game that's going to blow this game out one way or another. And I don't know what it's going to be. It's just that kind of feel as we see some big boys in the backfield now.
Yeah, more of a ground attack, spinning off of a tackle, but he says, no, you don't. Unbelievable. Tyler Thompson looked like he was about to be shredded off like a bad suit. Then all of a sudden wrapped up the ankles and said, you're not going anywhere.
Well, they went with a big, heavy formation. I missed who the fullback was, as Best moved to the tailback position there. And again, it was just a straight ahead. All they're trying to do is hit the off tackle on that. Nowhere to go. Both these teams, we've said it ad nauseum, hang their hats on defense. And now you're starting to see the flex of both these teams.
Well, again, the Rams technically 2 for 2 on their drives as regarding points is concerned, because they've gotten 2 field goals in this game. As now the quarterback reels out of the pocket, throws this one deep, has a man open, but it's intercepted by the Beefeaters at the 31-yard line. Coming away with the interception is Devin Smith, the quarterback turned safety.
He baited them a little bit here. I'm telling you.
He baited me. I thought he was wide open.
Yeah, and I kind of knew it. He knew what he had. He actually had great position on him. He knows how to close. They're throwing into the wind a little bit, John. That ball was going to hold up. Hey,
I thought Darian Pritchard was gone. He was behind the defense. It looked like a long leading pass from Culver was about to be thrown out of his cannon. And yet somehow, some way, it's Devin Smith turning the tide, which is exactly what these London fans need. Quads to the left side for McCallum. He's going to hand this ball off. Swinging over to that left side is Dyer. Dyer skipping through a tackle past the 40 up to the 41-yard line, close to the first down.
Just a straight outside zone play. We're running to the power side there. to the wide side of the field. The offensive line does a great job of pushing. And again, LJ Dyer does a really good job getting small in the hole and exploding through it. Gain of he got the first down. He got a gain of 11 yards on that, John.
Moves the chains. It's the first official first down of the game for the home squad. Now at their 42-yard line, can they continue the momentum built up by Devin Smith's interception? 2 run to the line. McCallum hands this one off. Are we getting another taste of Dyer? Dyer, as the bile keeps moving forward in favor of the home team up to the 47. That was some schoolyard football.
I really like that. Let's run right at the strength of this defense, which is straight ahead. This is big boy football. This is football in November and December in Canada. Run the rock, run the rock, run the rock.
Dante McPhail was in on that last play. He's going to sub out for Nick McKenzie for this next one for the Beefeaters.
Dante McPhail is a different back than what they also have. LJ Dyers, Tazzy Van Bell, Jeff Klubine, they're fast, they're scat backs. Dante McPhail is the hammer of that group.
Rams only lost 1 game in 2021. That was to the Hilltops, who they got revenge on in the national semifinal. Blitz coming to McCallum. McCallum has to hang on to the rock, and at least he'll do that. It's a sack. It should bring up 4th down, though, Ron. Or 3rd down, I apologize. And I hope McCallum's okay, as he's slow to get up.
Yeah, I think it's McCallum that's down there. I'm not 100% sure who the injured Beefeater is. But yeah, that's unfortunate. But again, great pressure by the Langley Rams there. It's not McCallum. McCallum's walking off the field. I do see that, so that's another player out on the edge there that was a little bit banged up, John.
Well, regardless, you don't want to see anybody get injured here in the 113th Canadian Bowl, and you're watching it courtesy of Leggett Injury Lawyers on Beefs TV. Your loved one's future is why. Go to leggettlaw.ca. We haven't had any touchdowns yet, Ron. Only 2 field goals, courtesy of Tato, Ferrero. Man, their family on both sides are gonna hate me at the end of this game. Both Ma and Pa.
Yeah, Sam McCoy was the injured Beefeater on the play. It's good to see him up under his own power. He's the offensive lineman.
So we're gonna get another punt in this game from the Beefeaters as this recent drive stalls out at the 46-yard line. I got the feeling the Rams are going to bring the house here, folks. Watch the edges as this one gets away, though, with ease. The Rams recover back at their 33-yard line and then bring it home. The Tomahawk Jam. Wearing Gilbert Arenas' number, Cody McRoberts.
Cody McRoberts has been an absolute force for the Beefeaters. He does a great job. They do a great job attacking this ball. I've talked at that ad nauseum with broadcast, how you attack the ball in the air, get it on the punt, hits the ground. It's going to cost you 15 yards sooner or later. But they stayed outside that 5-yard bubble and attacked right away. Great job. Nowhere to go. And again, you're starting to see the Langley Rams move back. You're starting to see a little bit of it.
But they do have the points in their favor during that process.
So, everyone's kind of settling into a solid game plan here.
Right behind the center is Culver. Leaves us off, I believe, to Best. Best just flooded out and in on the tackle, allowing him to go nowhere is Keyshawn Cuff.
Keyshawn Cuff, the big linebacker. This kid is an animal, 6'1", 250 pounds, knows how to bring the absolute wood. This is a physical style of football both these teams are playing.
And I'm sure it's weighing on the minds of the London defense right now, knowing, well, wait a minute, we're in the dying minute of the opening quarter and our offense is yet to put up any points in this game. Remember, they were shut out 3-0 in the opening half in that game in Windsor against the St. Clair Fratmen. So, a trio of weapons to the right side. Culver quickly fires the dart over that side. It is caught. He'll be shy of the first down, though, as it was Darian Pritchard. It seems to be his favorite target in this game. And you see some flags down at the Rams sideline.
Yeah, I think you're going to get a late hit out of bounds here against the Beefeaters. Really close, but he did make contact with it. I don't know if it's going to be a targeting call or a late hit, but it's definitely going to be going up 15 yards here against the Beefeaters.
So, since 1972, Ron, only 3 Ontario cities can say they've grabbed a Canadian Bowl. That's Ottawa on 4 different occasions. And by the way, the Sooners took a hiatus this year, but are under new management and will hopefully make their triumphant return next year. The other 2 are Windsor and Hamilton, each on 1 occasion. In fact, It was November 13th, 1999. That's the last time an OFC champion was crowned a Canadian Bowl champion when the Windsor AKO Fratman defeated the Okanagan Sun 32-29. Calvert looking to the left side, fires the dart, a savory favorite target. Ball is loose! Ball is loose! Recovered by London. It's Cody McRoberts.
That's his second big play here. Cody McRoberts plays linebacker. He plays special teams. He's a jack of all trades. He is one of the leaders of the London Beefeaters defense. Good job. Great little flat pass there. Okay, does a really good job getting open. But again, this is the second time we've seen the ball hit the turf now. One for the Beefeaters, one for the Langley Rams.
Ron, do you have any favorite lotto numbers? Pre-game, you said it was going to be defense and special teams, and we've seen fumble recoveries, trick plays from punting and onside attempts, as well as a heck of a play from the defense on both the Rams and the London side of things. An interception from Devin Smith, a fumble recovery from Cody McRoberts, and McCallum finds himself with the best field positioning at the 49-yard line. A handoff to LJ Dyer. Oh my word, what a tackle! And the Rams thought they had the ball, but the official blew the play dead.
Well, he was down, and then when he hit the ground, the ball came out. So this is not a Homer broadcast that I'm saying here.
It's an exciting way, nevertheless, to end the first quarter of action here from Alumni Stadium in London, Ontario. It's the first time in the 113th edition that the Canadian Bowl will be presented here in the Forest City. But who's going to get their first taste of Canadian Bowl glory? Will it be the London Beefeaters, existing in the Forest City since 1975? Or will it be the Langley Rams, who, if you include just their name, Ron, the Rams, their history goes all the way back to 1948. That's when they were based in Surrey and known as the Surrey Rams. In fact, later on, they were known as the South Surrey Rams, and actually briefly in the mid-2000s was known as the Big Kahuna Rams in a sponsorship deal that fell out. In 2010, they were officially named the Langley Rams, and as I mentioned, it didn't take them too long to taste success. In 2012, they made it all the way to the CJFL Championship, but lost a heartbreaker to who?
The Saskatchewan Hilltops.
Well, Saskatoon Hilltops. You better get the 22-time defending champions right. They're going to come for you, Ron. I know it. As, again, the Hilltops ended up prevailing in that game, and that truly was a heartbreaker, 23-21. In fact, out of the 4 occasions Langley's been to the championship, and on all 4 occasions losing to Saskatoon, that game, 23-21, back in 2012, the first occasion was by far the closest and by far the one that hangs on the hearts of Langley fans.
Yeah, and again, that's kind of what it's been really their redemption tour. Observations, again, first time seeing these guys live. These defensive backs for Langley are athletic, they're fast, and they're having great coverage. The calling card for both teams, I've said it. It's the defense and it's the run game. It's the defense and the run game. It's kind of like a heavyweight fight right now. Everyone's, we both kind of expect it's going to be a 12-round boxing match. We just kind of end of round 1, round 2.
I was going to say
it's the body blows
but
right
as
now.
far as the feeling out process, the Rams are ahead on points.
Yes, they are. And again, that's it's very exciting. Great for the Rams, and I'm not downplaying it all. But
so the teams flip fields here. London starts off with the rock for the second quarter of action. It'll be a 1st and 10 coming up. By the way, the CFL is a proud partner of the Canadian Junior Football League and wishes the Rams and the Beefeaters the best of luck in their quest for the first ever Canadian Bowl in one of these franchises' history. So a bit of a pause here as the officials are waiting for the quarter break to end. We're waiting for the zebra to officially blow it in.
We got a clock problem.
Oh, what would be a game at Western without a little bit of theatrics?
They're just trying to get the clock reset. It's got the actual time out here. It's 1:05.
Gives me some chance to pump some ads. Barron Championship Rings is the official ring supplier of the Canadian Junior Football League. Man, oh man, is that ring going to look extra sexy after today. Barron helps to design and creates all the CJFL All-Canadian rings. We mentioned some All-Canadians, including Nikos Lazarakis getting his 2nd edition for the Rams on the offensive side of the ball. And then a plethora of defensive weapons on both the Rams and the Beefeaters, including Cody McRoberts and Jordan Fletcher for the London squad, and Colton DeJean and Kyle Claret for the Rams.
Yeah, and again, kudos to all these young men, for traveling and for the efforts that they have gone in. These seasons start, for a lot of these teams in, December and January, and we didn't know. Nobody really knew what was going to happen, if we were going to have a season this year or not. So the amount of work that has gone in behind the scenes to ensure that this is actually happening, to ensure that the players kept safe, to ensure the officials kept safe, to ensure that we can have fans in the stadium today has been outstanding, and so much work behind the scenes.
Everyone had to show proof of double vaccination before entering the premises here today. And I got to give a big shout out to our football familia for presenting this football history here for you on your Saturday. Our technical producer and director, Adam Melrose, making this all possible. Our camera crew, including Alex Schleihoff and Finn Juice. And then Camden Melrose also getting the job done as far as graphics is concerned. Ron, we've called an awful lot of football over the years, but I think you and I can both agree the 113th Canadian Bowl, that's something to check off our list.
Yeah, this is kind of really a bucket list game for us, John. I know you've done a Vanier Cup before as well.
Vanier Cup, Mitchell Bowl,
Yep.
UTEC Bowl, and Canada Cup game. I mean, is there any Canadian games left for me to call after this one?
There might be a couple.
Okay,
but,
we got to
this
find
is
them.
a pretty big one.
And I'll bring you with me, Ron.
There you
As
go.
McCallum trying to fire a dart just over the receiver's head, and a flag on this play. In fact, I wonder if this is going against the offense as Connor DePotesta is depotesting that last play.
No, I think it's going against Langley. I think you had somebody lined up in the neutral zone. I'm not 100% sure. I'm just double checking the call here. It is offside against Langley. I thought, and again, I can't quite see the number. I thought it was the left end that was lined up just a little bit offside there. It just came across a little bit earlier. But 5 yards, that time the Beefeaters actually had a couple things going on. They're dropping into the zone, so they're playing a robber almost in here. And out of the robber, they've got one-on-one outside. So they actually had a switch going on there, and I thought they had a play going potentially.
Vang Bell is out. It looks like LJ Dyer is in. It's a handoff to Dyer. Dyer, though, sandwiched behind the line of scrimmage. A plethora of Rams getting on the action. I believe doing the majority of the damage there was Tyler Eckert. Who else?
Yeah, again, just really athletic defensive front here, and it's been their calling card. There's just been nowhere to go on second down for the Beefeaters at all, and I don't think that they've gotten one first down. I can't recall if they've gotten more than the one.
No, and then to make matters worse, we talked about it in the first quarter about McCallum not maybe seeing the weapons. Well, no, the weapons aren't there to be seen. That's how good this Rams defense has been. Well, now you go to the ground attack thinking, okay, I'm going to open up the aerial assaults that way. Well, they're starting to shut down the ground attack, too. This is getting scary.
Well, again, both these teams are ground and pound teams, and this is what makes the Canadian game so awesome, because here, welcome to the third phase of football, the special teams.
30-kilometer-hour winds, up to 50-kilometer-hour gusts blowing across the field, pretty much from left to right in the western direction, as it looks like the Beefeaters intentionally took the 5-yard penalty there to get a personnel change on the field.
Yeah, I believe so. I don't think that they had them set, and they... Not 100% sure what was going on, whether it was a late substitution or not.
And technically that was house money, because if you recall in the opening part of that last drive, it was an offside by the Rams, which gave London free 5 yards.
Yeah.
But still, field position battle, Ron. And you said it, the third stage is the special teams. As going back to boot this one away, as Leo Centino is going to bounce around to the 30-yard line. The officials are going to say London gave him enough yards. I don't know about that, yet he found a hole out the other way. Daniel Kabongo staying on his feet, going past the 45, past the 50, eventually smothered out of bounds around the 52-yard line. A beautiful return from the BC Conference Rookie of the Year gives his quarterback Culver some decent field position to start off this next drive.
We saw him on the opening kickoff, make a couple guys miss. This is what happens.
Just reverses the field.
Just completely reverses the field. This kid is got next level speed.
He's breaking ankles along the way.
Yeah, really good vision. He needs, for Langley, I think you got to get the ball to him in some space. Maybe on a slip or something like that.
Remember, the Rams started at the 53-yard line in the drive that ended up in a 17-yard field goal. They started at the 50-yard line, which ended up in a 18-yard field goal. So here they are starting at the 53 again. It's a pass play, and I think that was tipped on the line by Cody McRoberts as the ball never got to the intended target.
Yeah, it never got to the intended target. They tried to they had a wheel pattern going to the tight end on the far side of the field,
I think
John.
it was Brody Clark that he was
see,
trying to hit, yeah.
Yeah, they had a wheel pattern going, but again, pressure. Really,
It's been a rough day at the office for both these quarterbacks. They're not getting a whole lot of time back there to process what they're seeing.
yeah, different formation. We see a full house backfield here, John.
Does London bring the house down? It's a pitch play to the right side. They're going to try a little bulldozer football right now. Are the Rams in on the tackle for the Beefeaters, though, from behind is Nick Samus.
Yeah, again, just really does a great job. Really good job of setting the edge there. I believe that was
Derek Beston on the carry.
Yeah, but also Mr. Hicks, who's the defensive back out on there, does a really good job setting the edge, forcing him to turn it in. There's no real cutback lane there. You know, this is a really straight ahead runner, and they're trying to stretch him out wide. I know he's got a little bit of a step there, but the big man's not going to break many of those toss sweeps. It's just not physically. You want to pound it inside with him. And again, Langley is doing a good job running the ball, and they're going to flip the field again here and see if the Beefeaters can get a return or something.
No trickery this time as Cody McRoberts tried to dive in over there. They're going to pitch this play off and try and get tricky with it and reverse it the other way. The Rams, though, I mean, more Rams than a Dodge dealership around him on that tackle.
Yeah, Drew Lawrence was the person that ended up getting the ball here. But again, they were not fooled on that at all.
Yeah, I mean,
they had 4 guys there, and
it's not like Gavin Lake and his coaching staff haven't tried to stack the aces up their sleeve in this game, but time and time again, Corey Philpott's coaching staff says, nah, I see that up your sleeves.
Yeah, you know, again, familiarity will bring content. You do have film on everybody here. There's not a lot of secrets left. You know, both these teams, they know what they are.
Although, while prepping for this broadcast, I noticed I could go check out BCFC action. I couldn't go check out our previous Beefs game. Funny enough, we're on some games within the games. Yeah. A low snap to McCallum. A handoff to Van Bell. Van Bell changes the direction. A low tackle takes him down at the 34-yard line. Another flag, though, on this play.
Yeah, you're going to get offside against the Langley Rams. The linebacker jumped inside this time. And it was pretty clear. I believe that's one of the first times we've seen Tazzy Van Bell, you know, with the ball carrier. He's played a lot of special teams. It's been Dyer and Klubine. It's been kind of a four-headed monster for the Beefeaters.
Well, remember Klubine on the very first touch of the game fumbled the ball away. It was recovered quickly, though, by the quarterback in McCallum. And again, that limited the damage because even though the drive went for naught, they've only allowed 6 points on the board. And again, I hate to say this if you're a Beefeater fan, remember the last time a team came from out west and played you at this stadium? It did not go too well.
Yeah, but it was also over at this point in the game.
But that was my point, though, was that instead of allowing 2 field goals, it seemed like they had allowed 20 touchdowns by then. There's 3 weapons down to the left side. The officials are going to blow this play dead.
So this is going to be against the offense because they blew it dead. So I think you got somebody moving early. Just waiting for the call. Yeah, false start offense. So it's going to go back to 5 yards.
The Canadian Junior Football League is a proud member of Football Canada. Whether it's a player, a coach, an official, football is about developing the whole person, offering leadership, inclusivity, and opportunity. Football Canada is a proud sponsor of the CJFL Player of the Week's Award.
So after all of that, John, I believe we have a first down again.
1st and 10, but it is the Beefeaters now backing up towards their end zone. A handoff, more Van Bell action, but unfortunately maybe a yard or 2. And you mentioned this in the opening quarter, Ron. They closed those gaps in a hurry to the Langley Rams.
Yeah, the Langley Rams right there. There was Tyler Eckhart and a big number 43, the defensive lineman, absolutely eating up the blood.
Yeah, Paul G. Domi also in on that tackle with Eckhart, and I wouldn't want to be sandwiched between those two big boys.
There's some beef on this defensive line for both these teams, but this Langley Ram team is athletic as I saw on film.
Great weather, 3 degrees for December 4th. I couldn't imagine taking those hits in the negative elements. As McCallum, looking to go deep, has a man behind the defense, sandwiched and bumped off the ball. The crowd wants a call. They're not going to get it. Mitchell Spence was the target. It's an incomplete pass.
I kind of agree with the lack of a call.
Yeah, let that play go.
Well, he got hit. Okay, he got hit, and he's a defenseless receiver.
Yeah,
he's defenseless, and it's coming over. That should be targeting. That should be a big one. I don't.
And again,
there we go.
No, but that's going to go against the Beefeaters.
Yeah, composure.
And not only that, but now Gavin Lake, who, I'll say this straight up, he's usually the one being held back. He's the one forcing everybody back to the sideline.
Yeah, this is going to be a bench penalty against the Beefeaters.
I mean, the Beefeaters had 2 negatives this entire season. One was a St. Clair Fratman, who beat them twice in the regular season, but they were able to avenge that, Ron, in the OFC Championship game. The other was downright stupid penalties, and you cannot take downright stupid penalties in a championship game.
Now, you've got to play with composure. You've got to play with cool. I understand the emotion of the moment. I get all of that.
Does Leo Centino concede a safety here?
No, we kick it.
Well, Ronnie's saying they're going to kick it. Do they, though, Beefeater fans? As again, he will take Johnny Urban's advice and go back, take the knee, and concede the 2 points. We're playing field position football, baby.
Yep. So now does Langley take the ball in the 35, or do they force the Beefeaters to kick it off?
I think you force them to kick it given the wins and the fact that you never know what's going to come off of that oval.
Yeah, it looks like that's kind of what's going to happen here.
So again, this is a team in London that conceded 2 safeties in the 4th quarter in that championship game to St. Clair. That ended up helping them, though, as some fortuitous bounces and some, fluky fumbles allowed them to come back via Rouge 15-14.
Yeah, really good job here. Understanding
I'm feeling
the field
awfully
position.
bad for Chris Country Cuts because he's our touchdown sponsor. And through a quarter plus of action, we've had 2 field goals courtesy of Ferrero Arrea, and essentially 1 from 17, 1 from 18, and now we have a safety here in the 2nd quarter. Still looking for our first touchdown of the 113th Canadian Bowl.
Let's see what defensive coordinator for the Beefeaters, Austin Circapelli, has come up with on this, and because they need to make a play here. 10 minutes and 30 seconds left to go in the half.
And you can, by the way, order your beef or any meal for that matter from ChrisCountryCuts.com. Good. That's not an official slogan though, Ron. Don't put that in there.
So he's got good steaks.
The pigskin not cooperating now for the Beefeaters either, as it rolls off the pin at the 35. And yeah, we were watching Leo Centino and, for that matter, Tato Ferreira kick field goals and punts earlier, and sometimes with that gust up to 50 kilometers, it just deadens the ball.
Yeah. Pretty much, Matt, they're both going to be pretty much money from about the 30-yard line in, but outside of that, the wind conditions are going to be playing havoc with the ball.
A beautiful boot down to the 20-yard line, coming back up the field, and met like a freight train going southbound on a northbound freeway. A late flag. But man, oh man, Mario Johnson must have felt that one.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they're going to get McRoberts for a taunting call on this. See, this is, I don't, if you're going to call that, but you've got to call that targeting penalty to go with it, because that's where this is all started from, and now this is going to be, it's going the other way, my apologies, so it is against the Langley Rams.
Well, to your point though, nasty hit, and to your last point, we've seen a couple nasty hits that could have drawn out flags, but haven't, so the officials at least have kept the status quo as far as that's concerned between these two teams. But I'd imagine after taking that nasty hit, I would have something to say about it, and I'm sure did the Ram at field level.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what we were stopped there for, but again, 8-0 Langley Rams here. This is kind of being the game that we thought it was going to be, defensive, pound the ground and pound type of game.
So play action. Culver sticking around the pocket. Looks like he's going to go for his first run, Ron, and he scampers up to the 30-yard line before being met by 3 red jerseys.
Yeah, good job recognizing the receivers are not getting open on either side of the ball here, okay? Really, like the secondaries for these defenses are playing outstanding.
Not to sound crude about it, but when you see the quarterback leave the original line of scrimmage like that, how do you not salivate as a defender like a wolf on a bloody steak?
Oh, you absolutely do. That's fresh meat coming your way, and you're allowed to eat it, that one.
High formation for the Rams. Pressure potentially coming here for the Beefeaters. It's a pitch play. Is this Best? Derek Best trying to get around an edge. Derek Best hangs onto the rock and just gets past the first down marker. And no, I apologize. It's Kai Thomas. They got a hydra back there of running back weapons they're going to utilize here today.
Yeah, but that time he got to the edge. He got enough for the first down. Kai Thomas is the speed guy as opposed to Derek Best, who is their big power back.
And they have Joel Klassen, remember, too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they got at least a triad of weapons back there, and I'm sure they got a fourth or fifth one, too. So here you go if you're a Rams fan. Your team's up 8-0 with 8:50 remaining before halftime in the Canadian Bowl, looking for their first ever in franchise history. Culver, who's been great all day, fires another dart. This one's caught, staying on his feet, scampering past midfield, eventually dropped down around the 45-yard line, is David Osho. And we actually mentioned Osho in the first quarter of action, Ron. That's his second big catch of the game.
Yeah, he was the one going on the wheel route earlier. He's kind of being the favorite target, the guy that they think that they can get some going in there. He's a big physical tight end, does a good job of getting that in there. You got to wrap that up though. If you're the Beefeaters, I believe it was Devin Smith on that. He's looking for the big hit rather than wrapping up the tackle, and it cost him 15 yards.
And despite adding to the Langley lead on 3 different occasions, this is still technically a one-possession game. As the house was coming down on Culver, he dumped almost like a halfback screen up the middle, but I guess the halfback didn't think it was coming to him as the ball drops incomplete.
Yeah, even if he does get you, I got news for you. He's not going anywhere because he is absolutely met at the line of scrimmage. Big number 99 there was all over him. The 6'6", 290 pound defensive line, and he's not going anywhere on that middle screen.
Starting defensive line for the Beefeaters was Matthew LaBelle, Karn Sadu, who was in on that play, Dylan Thomas, and Jordan Fletcher, the all-star from Connecticut. Play action for the Rams. Culver avoiding Fletcher. Culver gonna go for a run. Has the first down and more. Slides down a veteran-like move to the 27-yard line.
Yeah, there again. So that time the Beefeaters brought pressure on the front side. They ran him off on the backside. Nobody was there to contain it.
How many professional football fans have seen their favorite quarterback go on that play, not go for the baseball slide, and end up being injured for the rest of the season, completely crushing your soul as a fan? Whereas that kid right there pretty much acted like a 30-year-old NFL vet.
Yeah.
Got the yards needed, felt the danger coming down the pipes, and went, wait a minute, I'll just go to my baseball slide and keep it safe.
Get down, protect yourself, live to fight another day. That's smart football. As we saw a little conference there by the officials, not sure what was going on with that. But again, I go back to, probably one of the greatest careers ever happened because somebody was being a cowboy on the sidelines, and that was Drew Brees enter Tom Brady.
Wow. Or Bledsoe, correct?
Yeah, excuse me.
Drew Bledsoe.
Brees, oh my goodness.
Who, by the way, his hairline has made the greatest comeback of all. As this will be a handoff, and the Beefeaters reciprocate what the Rams have been doing to their ground game on this last attack. It's maybe a half-yard gained.
Yeah, again, great penetration there. Again, number 90 there coming through there. Dylan Thomas coming back in there. They're rotating the defensive front here, and both these teams are doing a great job of controlling the line of scrimmage. It is being the broken play kind of that set the Rams up. Now again, they're in that kind of field goal range here, and now we're starting to get into that point where field goals again, another field goal, and then your defense comes out. It's a potential problem.
Culver to the near side. This one's caught, skipping past one tackle, just being wrapped down at the 21-yard line. Little pushing and shoving after the whistle, never hurt nobody. Darian Pritchard, that's got to be his third or fourth catch of the game. And even Cody McRoberts had to be calmed down by the officials and his own teammates at the tail of that one.
Yeah, again, you can't take another of those objectionable conduct penalties. You don't want to take that. They've got everyone's this is a national final, and Langley's kind of saying, well, we've been there, we've done that, we want to win it this time. The Beefeaters have not been there.
So they are sending out the field goal crew. Remember, Furtado, Ferrero, Araya, essentially he's hit a 17-yarder, an 18-yarder, and now is trying to attempt a 28-yarder from the right hash. A high snap is settled down. The kick is up, and it is wide left. So coming out of the end zone with a head of steam and just getting tripped up around the 20-yard line. There's a flag back at the 35. but it still remains a one-possession game from Alumni Stadium here at Western with 6:24 remaining in the first half.
And the flag's going to be after the play, so it's going to be an after-the-play foul, so it's not going to affect possession here, but I believe the ball is going to go back inside the 10-yard line now.
The officials having a bit of a conference to make sure they get this call right, and if Ron's on the money, this could be a huge detriment. 15 yards going back against the Beefeaters, and Ron, your math is accurate. It goes beyond the 10-yard line all the way back to the 5.
So I think what you had on this is what we call a pedestrian block. Somebody is not really involved in the play, and somebody from the team who's returning that turns around and blocks them downfield. You can't do it anymore. That's the kind of hit that they're taking out of football.
105 yards needed by the Beefeaters with 6:24 remaining in the opening half to get their first point on the board. How imperative is that they do that here at home in their first ever hosting of the Canadian Bowl to these Langley Rams?
Yeah, right now I think you're concerned about getting a first down, and let's get
build on the smaller things first.
Yeah, let's try to get some momentum here going. Maybe try to get something flat. There's not much, that this Langley defense hasn't been able to do.
We've also seen the aerial assaults in this direction haven't gone well for Culver or McCallum, as McCallum will take this snap, hangs onto the ball. He's going to have to, dance around some danger. He'll get up to the 7-yard line. 8, in fact, to get a 3-yard gain.
Yeah, but okay, that's not a bad thing.
Gets him some breathing room.
Yeah, because you're now when you snap, at least you're not standing on your end zone here. You're trying to get a first down here. This is what you're trying to do. It all comes down to first downs. I get that. You ought to point points in there. It was a zone play, faked it to Dante McPhail, and you had McCallum pulling it and taking it off the end there. 3 yards on that, but it's a positive gain.
I just don't know if you want McCallum taking on the entire Rams defense on his own like that.
No, absolutely not. But these guys are flying to the ball, and it just seems to be no matter what they do, there's
4 weapons to the near side. Is McCallum firing it? It is caught trying to stay on his feet, but eventually tackled down to the turf. That was Devin Smith on the catch, and Ryan Basselson in on the tackle.
Yeah, great open field tackle. Caught the ball. He thought, well, maybe he's got a chance here. Make a guy miss. No, not going anywhere. These guys tackle really, really well. You can tell that they work on that. It is a point of pride with this team.
So, you said they needed the first down, as opposed to me saying they needed 105 yards. Well, they don't even get the 10, Ron, and it looks like they may even concede another safety in this game.
Yeah, I think you did it last time. You're going to do it again. The field position is going to be so critical in this game.
But even if you concede the safety, it will officially turn this game from a 1-possession to a 2-possession game. As the Centeno takes the knee, and just like that, with 5:07 now remaining before halftime, the second safety conceded in this quarter by the home squad has now made it a 10-0 game for the Rams. And I'm sure if you're a Rams fan, you're going, man, oh man, I'd rather just see some touchdowns on the board at this point, but you'll take it. 2 field goals, 2 safeties, and more importantly, time ticking off the clock. Well, with 5:07 remaining in the first half, the Rams are in control.
Well, let's go to another point here. Neither of these teams have scored in the first half of football in the last 2 games.
That's correct.
Okay, so when scoring, I mean as in a touchdown. Neither team has got a touchdown. The Beefeaters scored all their points in the last 4 minutes of the game in the fourth quarter in St. Clair. These guys did it all against field goals and field positions and turning the ball over.
Well, again, in that BCFC Cullen Cup Championship, a 7-4 game, all the points, Ron, all the points were done via a safety, other than the 28-yard field goal from Tato Ferreira, which connected in the opening quarter. So it is booted away for the Beefeaters yet again after conceding the safety down to the 22-yard line. Up with a head of steam and heading up the field is Mario Johnson. And it seems like, to me at least, the Rams prefer to go towards their sidelines rather than the Beefeaters on these kick returns. And a very late flag has you shaking your head.
Yeah, I didn't see what it was, and I'm trying to get the call.
And Mario Johnson stumbling off the field,
yeah.
So I think he took a little bit of a low hit at the tail end of that play.
I'm just kind of watching the replay here. So,
well, no,
I
mean,
don't. Did they?
Roughness is the call against.
They're saying that he kicked him on the way by.
Maybe, or stepped on his hand right there by accident. That's a tough pill to swallow for the home team, trailing here 10-0 with 5:01 remaining in the second Q.
I don't see the foul on that. I'm sorry. I don't. I'm
Well,
not gonna sound
some
critical
we,
to the officials,
we
but
can
I don't see it.
but we don't hear all the time.
That's
here,
true.
Right? You don't
That's
know what's
true.
being said down there. As it looked like the pro set formation now for Culver. Has time to maneuver. Fires this one right up the middle. It's caught around the 40. Spinning off of a tackle, staying on his feet. Cody McRoberts eventually rips him down around the 31-yard line, but not before doing the first down damage.
Big play. Okay, so they're attacking them. They swung both the backs out. They're getting the linebackers to peel off. And it was just a late crosser, so it was almost a mesh concept that you got. And again, big number 85.
Yeah, I have a feeling Langley fans are you going to win this game? Oh, for sure. We got David Osho.
Yeah, and again, I call him a tight end. He is a wide receiver. He's a Canadian kind of hybrid / tight end. This is what the tight end position is in the Canadian
No
game.
weapons to the left side for Culver. You know where they're throwing. In fact, he goes to that left side. Beg your pardon, off the intended fingertips. Oh my word, he tricked me. I was so focused on the near side, I forgot about the weapon he had there. I think that was Kabongo too. And there is an injured Beefeater back at the line.
I'm trying to see what happened there. Again, just really good coverage there. Safety rolled over top. I'm trying to see the number, but these
Well,
guys.
the secondary plays him deep, so you think he'd have him covered there, Ron.
Yep.
Just a little in-out move. I'm gone. And almost the first touchdown of the 113th Canadian Bowl. By the way, not only is this the first time that the Canadian Bowl has been hosted here in London, Ontario, you got to go all the way back to 1999, the last team in OFC won the Canadian Bowl, and that actually took place in Windsor when they beat the Okanagan Sun 32-29. Ron, I know London fans are hoping we might get to that point, but they need to get some points first. The last Canadian Bowl to go to an overtime was 1997. That's when the Regina Rams, a different Ram of sort, beat the Okanagan Sun 23-20. And after doing a lot of this prep, man, oh man, have the Langley Rams had some sores over the years from losing in championships? Sure. But I've said the Okanagan Sun on the losing side of things a heck of a lot of times in the history of the CJFL. They've gotten to the dance, they just haven't been able to pull it home. So Culver, fans screaming defense. They're trying to get their Beefeaters in it. Taking a shot deep into the end zone. Did he catch it? Touchdown Rams! Roll the highlight film!
Wow, just a really good job. This was going to be PI anyway. I thought you had a hold on the offensive line as well, but that's neither there. He then does a great job of pulling them. It was going to be pass interference. He caught it. He caught it clean.
Check it out.
No, they're saying it was incomplete now.
How did the back official... Watch this. The back official who sees this play the entire time, he's the one that threw the flag, and he's the one that calls it a touchdown. How can anybody else take that call back?
I don't know. I'm
Unless the flag was against Langley, and that's why it's coming back.
No, absolutely not. Because he said it was on a pole on the back of the jersey.
That was evident.
That was clear as a bell.
How did he get to the ball after all that interference?
I don't know. I'm watching the replay again here with you guys here. Good job stepping up. Thought you had a hold. Late hit there.
Late hit. What a catch, but it's for naught. Well, for now, Langley fans, it's still
back to the action.
Still 10-0 for your squad. You thought you had your first touchdown of the game.
Oh.
And the Beefeaters thought they almost had their second interception of the game. Nick Samus got his bear mitt on it, but couldn't reel the pigskin in.
Actually, I think it was Dylan Thomas, number 90, who actually does the great job deflecting it. There's some extra stuff going on field here that I want to kind of take a look at the next time around. There's some things happening on the offensive and defensive lines a little bit here.
Battles within the battles.
Yeah, but there's some cutting and downfield stuff that's happening.
It's the last game of the season. I'm sure you're going to do anything to get that Canadian Bowl ring, courtesy of Baron Rings. As Culver, forced to get rid of this one early, still finds his man around the 21-yard line. He's actually going backwards, though, Ron. Continuing to go back all the way to the 30-yard line where he's tackled by the Beefeaters. What was he doing? Mo Kadri ends up making him pay.
Yeah, and again, this is kind of what I was talking about, some extracurricular at the end of the field here. Right there. Yeah, that is a illegal block by number 69. That is a clear clip. That should be a penalty. They didn't call it, and that's gonna that kid's hurt now. Unfortunately,
number 64, to beg your pardon, Spencer Schmick. I see that at the end of the play, though. The things you've been mentioning.
Yeah, there's been a few times where it's kind of like, no. This is kind of happening here. So what happened there is kid's trying to make a play. I understand that.
That's the thing.
It.
You can't say you mark him down for forward progression because he's giving himself up
because
repeatedly.
He's running back. He's running backwards.
Repeatedly trying to continue
the play.
the play.
He's tackled in a huge play by the Beefeater defense. Now you're kind of in that, are we not in field goal range?
I'm thinking this is like the NFL ref strike with the interception touchdown in the Seahawks Green Bay game. What the heck was that? If you're a Rams fan, your boy gets pretty much horse-collared in the end zone, makes the catch of the year, the official in the end zone, the end judge goes, touchdown Rams, and yet somehow, some way, you find yourself back at the 29-yard line.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I don't know what the call was, but
well, if you're a Beefeaters fan, you'll take it. It's still a 10-0 game,
and they're not even lining up for the field goal. They're punting the ball here.
So again, we've hit the 3-minute warning. So instead of attempting the field goal, remember the last attempt from Tato Araya missed wide left, so they're not going to risk it again this time. Instead, out comes the punt. He's trying to literally pin them. A coffin punt right to the 5-yard line, Ron. What incredible special teams shown here from Langley.
Yeah, the single point's not going to do them any good.
The field position will help.
Right. So now if the Beefeaters give up a single point, okay, no big deal. You're going to get the ball on the 35-yard line. You're basically saying that our defense is going to stop you, and you're not going to get first downs. You're not going to make a play. And we've seen this kind of song and dance all game here.
The Canadian Bowl, by the way, on Beefs TV, also on CJFL TV, brought to you by Leggett Injury Lawyers, trial-tested expertise in medical malpractice and personal injury.
So anyway, my point to that is the value of that is the 30 yards is absolutely monstrous.
Especially when this team couldn't get a first down when they were in the same vicinity last time. I think this is a taste of Corey Klubine.
Checking the number. No, it's Dante McPhail. Big number 18.
Yeah, number 18. You are right, partner. So
yeah.
Dante McPhail. So we haven't seen Klubine since the original fumble.
Yeah, no, I don't think we've seen.
And we were talking about him being the bulldog needed in this game for Gavin Lake to get the ground game going.
Yeah, really, because he was the rookie of the year for the Ontario Conference. So if he's not able to go, that's a big loss for him.
And you and I actually called his high school games on a snowy covered citywide field many Saturdays ago.
Yeah, that was a cold day.
Yes. Now 3 run to the line, 3 options on the right side. McCallum gets hit as he throws. He looks a little worse for wear, but does get up under his own accord.
They're coming through like this defense is just coming
a hot knife through butter.
Yeah, there's no other way of really putting it. They're nowhere to run. They don't have time to set up. This defensive line, this defense for the Rams is as good as advertised.
So if you are Gavin Lake and the Beefeaters coaching staff, you're hoping to go into the halftime break just trailing 10-0. That's if you can get through the next 2:17 without conceding any more points on the board. What kind of alterations are you making on the locker room board?
Well, right now you're giving up 2 points, so you're going to go down. About to go down 12 because, again, it's the field position. I think everyone's, a lot of what's happened out here has been the extracurricular. I think that's hurt both these teams. Both these teams have got to, get into halftime. Everyone settle down. Everybody relax. Breathe. You've kind of got it out there. But we said that this was kind of like a heavyweight boxing match, okay? We are now, in a 12-round fight we're going into the 6th round now.
Well, you said at the beginning of our broadcast that kickers are people too,
Yep.
and I should have known you had something up your sleeve, Ron, because in this game, all we have to show for it in the opening quarter are 2 Tato Arrea field goals, one from 17 and the other from 18 yards out, and since then, not 1, not 2, but 3 safeties conceded by the Beefeaters kicker in Leo Centino.
Yeah, it's the most Canadian thing to do is you play the field position game, and in Canada,
It's fitting that this is called the Canadian Bowl, because if any Americans
Yeah.
are watching this, they're confused as all heck.
yeah, well, they're go blue later on tonight, just for the record.
Okay. As this ball's going to be booted away for the 3rd time in this game from the 35, and Centino's actually trying to push this one out of
That's
bounds.
smart.
Great job by the Rams. He pretty much caught it as he was running full flight out of bounds at the 35. So from their 35 to their 35.
Okay, but that ball's live on the kick, so this is the free kick.
So you can get that ball if you're the
You
Beefeaters.
get that ball if you're the Beefeaters, so you're pooching it over to the sidelines. You got a runner down there, Maybe you try to do something, maybe you're not.
I go back to the first play of the game.
Yeah.
Not play, first kickoff. As the Beefeaters tried an onside kick. Looked like they had recovered the ball, Ron, but hold the phone and offside, took it back. I mean, this game, it's only 12-0, but could be completely different if the Beefeaters started off with the rock. And again, they're going to get the rock to start off the second half of
Yes.
action. It's some bulldozer football right now from the Rams. They couldn't get through the A gap, though, as it'll be a limited gain of maybe 2 or 3 yards.
Just a straight power play over the right-hand side there. You see a nice double team at the point of attack. But this is kind of being the story of the game. Look at the great job of neutralizing that. I believe that's Mr. Fletcher, the defensive end for the Beefeaters. Yeah, Jordan Fletcher, number 56.
And Fletcher's just been an absolute beast. We actually called the first game of his in the OFC and in the CJFL for that matter against the Hamilton Hurricanes, where he had multiple sacks and played a huge factor on special teams. So Culver, protected well, has real estate, gonna go for a gain to the left side, stays on his feet, skips back to the tackle, and goes up to the 48-yard line of the Beefeaters, a gain of roughly 14 yards for the QB.
Yeah, again, just a good job of stepping up into the pocket, getting the escape. Beefeaters don't hold the edge, and then off you go. They run blitzed them there, so they actually send the linebacker right through, and they bid on the run fake and left the quarterback out for the scamper.
Remember, we're past the 3-minute warning now in the opening half, so the Rams, who traveled over 2,000 miles to be here today, also have the benefit of a 12-0 lead. They have the benefit of the clock stopping in between plays so they can do more damage here. A pitch play to the right side, hurdling over a tackle. I mean, every time they've pitched it over the right side, it's either been Klassen or Best. We'll see who gets off the turf this time.
I think it's Best. Yeah, number 27.
Best on the carry.
Yep, so Derek Best, and as I mentioned, every time they've gone to that pitch play to the near side, it seems to be the best, Derek Best.
Yeah, he's kind of been their workhorse today. He's gotten most of the touches. The explosive plays have come from Osho, the receiver,
That's right.
the tight end /Y.
And we saw some great returns from Kubongo. I'm just waiting for him to open up with a big touchdown. You can't keep the BC Conference Rookie of the Year off the board in this game. I just got a gut feeling. So Culver, once again going to work, 2nd and 5, has a man. This one's caught, reeled in. The ball did come loose at the end, but they're going to blow the play dead.
No, it's incomplete. He never had it.
Pass falls incomplete.
Oh, wow. They're going to say, that's a Des Bryant catch right there if I've seen
Yeah,
one.
there's been some calls today. I want to see this because he catches it. I thought he caught it clean.
I thought the ground forces it out, but yeah, maybe he never controlled it. Maybe he never controlled it.
Beforehand, so
with 1:11 left, it looks like the Beefeaters will get the ball back, possibly for the last time in the opening half. And I know it might feel like it's going to take a miracle at this point, Ron, but man, oh man, some points. Even a field goal would be so massive before the halftime break just to give Gavin Lake and his coaching staff some momentum to build on.
You know what? You got to return. Oh, they almost went for it again.
Almost went another fake. This one touches the skies and eventually comes down around the 10-yard line trying to spin around a tackle, but all for naught.
I want to see that replay again. I don't know if this is supposed to be or if he was just...
Well, watch the guys at the 50-yard line. He almost pretends like he was going to catch it.
I think he was supposed to.
Or is that one of those poker fakes where they're going to use that later in the game and they're going to anticipate the punt and it's going to go fake?
Well, they
They've already done that
They
once.
already did that once.
Except that was a direct snap to the left side flank, and he just took it to the sidelines and went for the first down.
Exactly. So I'm not. There's some. Oh boy.
Starting back at the 14-yard line. Again, the Beefeaters looking for their first points in their first ever hosting of the Canadian Bowl in its 113-year history. Now, finally getting some momentum, trying to stretch the field to the right side, though. That's Jeffrey Klubine. Good to see him back in this game.
Yeah, first time we've called his name. Just the outside zone play here. This is what Klubine does really, really well. He's a really good runner in space, but again, it's the Langley Ram team. They're closed down so hard, and they don't seem to miss tackles.
This is the Canadian Bowl on Beefs TV, brought to you by Legate Injury Lawyers. And Legate Injury Lawyers are, well, they care about your loved ones. Find out why at legatelaw.com.
Trying to see the back judge here stop the clock and stop the play here. I don't know what was going on here.
Maybe they're looking for some Chris Country cuts, as there's yet to be a touchdown in this game, Ron.
I think that they stopped the. Oh, now there's.
So the officials trying to get everything orchestrated the right way. By the way, some fans starting to pour into the far sidelines too. That's always good to see.
Yeah, it's awesome to see. I know that the Langley Rams have called timeout now.
Okay, very first timeout of the game with 49 seconds remaining in the opening half. And there's been a lot of historical Canadian football played on this very turf as of late. If you recall, the Mitchell Bowl was hosted here when the Western Mustangs absolutely romped over the St. FX X-Men. In fact, it's the largest margin of victory in a Mitchell Bowl history, and it took place right here.
Yeah, and again, that's best of luck to the Western Mustangs who are playing in the Vanier Cup against the Saskatchewan Huskies.
And let's tie this all in. If you look at the Saskatchewan Huskies roster, I guarantee you're going to find 70 to 80% Hilltop products.
Yeah.
So they are truly an inter-provincial grown program that, I mean, let's face it, deserve to be there. If you recall back in 2018, Ron, it was the Huskies losing to Western in the Mitchell Bowl back then when Western went off to lose to the Laval Rouge et Or in Quebec City. I think Western has a pretty good shot when you consider this. The Montreal Carabins were defeated by the Huskies, and instead of having a team from Quebec playing in Quebec, you're going to have Saskatchewan and Western playing Quebec. I don't think anybody from La Belle Province cares at that point.
No, yeah, probably not, but there is no love for the University of Western.
No matter where you go. McCallum sacked from behind. The defense continues the rumble here for the Rams.
Yeah, again, just great coverage downfield, blanket coverage, nowhere to go. I'm gonna shout out to number 2 here, the defensive back, Berko Wande. This is absolutely blanketing the Beefeater receivers. He plays the boundary side corner position.
Tyler Eckert in on the hit. How many times have we said Eckert's name in the first half when it comes to disrupting McCallum's offense?
Yeah, but there's blanket coverage across the board. Field position again. Do you give up another 2? That's the difference between 12 and 14, John.
Yeah, with 44 seconds left, I mean, let's face it, it goes back to that 3-minute warning note that I made earlier. The clock stops in between plays, and it seems like this is taking forever now to get to halftime if you're a Beefeaters fan, trailing now by 12. But Ron, you make a good point. I mean, 14 is 2 touchdowns, right? And that would put them in the exact same position they were against the St. Clair Fratmen with 2:52 remaining in the OVC Championship, only to somehow, someway come back with a 15-14 victory. So Centeno is going to take the safety. The 4th time in this game, the 4th time in just this quarter.
Yep.
So when you think about it, 6-0 Rams, courtesy of 2 field goals from Tato Ferreira. And then you make it 14-0 from 4 consecutive safeties from Leo Centeno. So still yet to have our first touchdown of the 113th Canadian Bowl, but there is points slowly but surely accumulating on the board.
So now you're getting to the point for the Beefeaters where you're starting to get into that danger zone. This team hasn't given up a lot of points all year. 4 points in the semifinal, 14 points against the
Hilltops, who put up 50 points
numbers
in the 2 occasions that they played the Beefeaters. They put up 50 in each occasion.
So you're starting to get into that, all right, well, you can't.
Keep
Your
playing,
defense,
yeah.
you're playing with house money, and you got to come up with a hand sooner or later.
No, you're running out of chips. I get the analogy, Ronnie. Time is of the essence, and sadly, despite hosting the first ever Canadian Bowl here in the Forest City, that's not going to do it. You got to have a good game plan for 4 full quarters, as the Rams came here to dance today. As this one's knocked back to the 20-yard line. Again, I think that is Mario Johnson on the return. Number 6 continuing to stay on his feet. And he'll eventually be bully balled to the 43-yard line in front of the Rams bench. And he looks slow to get up now.
Yeah, he took a big pop at the very end there. I think he bounced up fine at the end. Really good. I like this kid. He is dynamic. Does a good job following the blocks, making people miss. Small cut, just keeps his leg grinding, just keeps churning his legs out on that, and then the big finish at the end there.
And they've really done a good job of avoiding Daniel Kabongo. I mean, I'm starting to pick up on why the ball's constantly being kicked over to that right side from Santino, and they're constantly returning it to the Rams sideline because they're avoiding the BC Conference Rookie of the Year. Play action, Culver avoids a sack from Fletcher, gets rid of the rock, and just throws this one away. And I guess that wouldn't be intentional grounding, would it, Ron? Because he was flushed out of the pocket.
Yeah, he was outside of the pocket, so he was outside of the tackle box, so he can throw that away as long as he gets to the line of scrimmage and beyond. Dangerous throw, though, still. You're spinning around. Who did we see the other day do that? Matthew Stafford, I believe it was. He spun around and threw it right to somebody who it wasn't supposed to go to, and look what happened. So
he still has more wins wherever the heck he is than the last city he was playing in.
Ask Dallas how Detroit's record was in the month of November too. So anyway, I digress there. That's low-hanging fruit.
Looks like some pressure coming here from the Beefeaters. It's a ground attack from the Rams, stymied around the 45-yard line. 18 seconds left before halftime. There's a local band, by the way, that's going to be performing for all the faithful here. They got the stage set up in the north end zone side of things, and at least the crowd will get to enjoy some tunes. Ronnie, you and I will try and warm up, get the stats on, and be ready for the second half of this Canadian Bowl action.
Yeah, it's been Langley has been what we thought they were going to be, the very aggressive big defensive front that just don't allow, they tackle.
Again,
in the Canadian game now, you're playing so much space. You
got to make your tackles.
You got to make your tackles, and they don't miss tackles. And
we knew when the Hilltops came here that they were an offensive powerhouse, and they had championships to boot, and they proved that by putting up 50-plus points on this board. However, we knew with the Rams, it's like, okay, maybe they don't have the offense, but this is a team that has stymied you on the defensive side of the rock, and they've certainly done that, shutting out the Beefeaters in this opening half of action. However, as I say that, 18 seconds left, this one picked off the turf. In fact, was that number 7 and on the punt? So, it was actually Darian Pritchard with the punt. A dying quail goes off to the Rams sideline. So we'll have to keep an eye on that throughout this game as the Beefeaters will get the rock with 14 seconds left. And Ron,
this is, I think, their best field position of the day.
I was just going to say that, do you think you Hail Mary is pretty much what I'm going to Hail Mary. Is that a Hail Mary time? A hook and ladder, Hail Mary. What do you do here?
Your kind of bread and butter play is being
LJ Dyer for a gain of 3.
Well, you've got a different quarterback in. You've got Devin Smith coming in at the quarterback position right now.
And this is a guy that broke his hand, did he not, before coming into the season? Was touted to be the starting quarterback, ended up moving to safety. So we'll see. He's in the shotgun position, and he's got 4 weapons to the left side. He takes the snap with an empty backfield. Gonna huck this one deep into double coverage. Interception, Rams. Langley ball, just like that, back at the 20.
Again, great coverage downfield by the Langley Rams. Really nowhere to go. This is kind of what you're expecting it.
You stack your weapons, though, to the left side, and he takes his shot in double coverage to the right.
Okay, well, what you're trying to do is you're trying to get your playmaker, you're trying to get your best athlete singled up on coverage there. you're trying to just put up a jump ball or something to your receiver. You want the receivers and the safeties and everything to track over to the one side. Most football coaches are going to attack the short side of the field. It's an easier throw as well for the quarterbacks as well. It's a shorter throw than throwing it all the way across the field.
Do you still just take the shot there like that though? As it
Yeah,
looks
I think you have to. I think you have to. They're kneeing it out at this point. So you've got to take a shot downfield. You didn't make it here to play just for the sake of playing. You came here to win the game. So you're trying to spend all your bullets. I think the Beefeaters, body language, looking at them, they look a little frustrated right now. If they're frustrated, it's like, what, you didn't know this was coming? You didn't realize this defense was coming to play? This is a very well-traveled team.
When, as I mentioned, they flew down Thursday. They
Yep.
practiced at the Toronto Argonauts indoor facility in Toronto before chartering a bus down to the Forest City to dine in. And again, remember, for Langley, this will be the 5th chance at a Canadian Bowl. For London, it's their first. But the Langley Rams are 2 quarters away from potentially capturing their first ever Canadian Bowl as they neat out the first half of action. Unbelievable. 2 field goals from Tato Ferreira in the opening quarter of action. One from 17 yards out, the other from 18 yards out. Made it 6-0 after the first quarter of play. But then 4 straight safeties conceded by Leo Centino and the Beefeaters added another 8 points to the board. And just like that, with no touchdown scored, it's a 14-0 game at halftime, Ron.
Yeah, it really, it's been a battle of field position. It is, if you like defensive, hard-hitting football, this is your game. If you like 1,000 points being scored, you're tuning into the wrong broadcast. But really, it's been a clinic in tackling. It has been a clinic in absolute ball position and understanding where you are in the field and everything else. It has been a great first half of Canadian football here in London.
This is the first ever Canadian Bowl hosted in London, Ontario, but the Beefeaters need to turn the tide similar to what they did in the OFC Championship to have a chance at hailing national glory here today. For the Langley Rams, it's all systems go as they are 2 quarters away from being your 113th Canadian Bowl champions. For Ron Forwerda, I'm John Urban. We'll catch you around for the second half action. 7 years. For the first time in over 7 years, a team not named the Saskatoon Hilltops will be your CJFL Canadian Bowl champions. The real question is, though, who's it going to be? Is it going to be the first for the Langley Rams up 14-0, or is it going to be the first for the London Beefeaters?
Right now it's been the story of the defense really playing hard. Langley, we kind of talked ad nauseum in the first half. Langley's defense, they've really got here from them. They're good, they're athletic, they're big, they're physical across the board.
Well, let's break it down. 10 first downs for the Rams in the opening half, only 2 for the Beefeaters. On the rushing attack, 102 yards for the Rams, only 29 for the Beefeaters. But the real daunting stat, 114 yards through the air for Culvert, 3 so far for McCallum, and I think that's why we saw Devin Smith at that last interception.
Yeah, and again, it really is there's no separation for me that I'm seeing from the Beefeater receivers. They're going to get the ball to start the second half here.
2 saving graces. They get the ball to start off the second half, and remember the score in their last championship dance. They were down 14-0 with 2:52 left in the fourth quarter. Lots of time to make the comeback this time around.
Composure is going to be a key in the second half here. You don't want to get things out of control. Keep composure, keep grinding. You're not out of this game if you're the Beefeaters. You're down 2 scores. We've seen magic happen before with this team on several occasions.
To a point that you were hammering home before the halftime break, though, Ron, you can't keep looking at the heart monitor as far as your offense is concerned and seeing a flat line. At some point, you got to see a murmur, a beat, a thud, something to keep the hopes alive for Forest City fans for the first Canadian Bowl here in London.
Yeah, so what you're looking for is, we just talked about the stats. Let's get some first downs. 2 first downs in the first half. That was it for the Beefeaters. You've got to control the clock a little bit. You've got to get their defense guessing, thinking a little bit.
And to that point, Ron, 17 minutes of possession time for the Rams to just 12 for the Beefeaters in that opening half.
Yeah, so that's got to be another factor. You need to go on a drive here if you're the Beefeaters. You need to put some first downs together. Flip the field. You've been playing out of your own end all game long. What you've got to do is start having the Rams play out of their end a little bit more.
5 Beefeaters, Bell, McCallum, McPhail, Klubine, and Dyer combined for 11 carries, just 29 yards. The longest damage done, 10 yards in length, looking for their first points of the game. However, I mentioned that Hydra that the Rams have in their backfield. Klassen, Culvert, Claret, Thomas, and Best all doing damage. 16 carries between all of them, 102 yards. With doing the majority of damage, actually, it's Michael Culvert with a 15-yard gain, 34 so far on the ground on 3 tastes of the pigskin.
Yeah, I know those have been on the scrambles. Really, it's been the best show. He's been really the hammer trying to pop things up there. They've had a lot of success with those seam passes as well. Look for them. Basically, they're saying, hey, we're going to keep doing the same thing. We're going to play defense and hit you in the mouth.
Tato Ferrea Araya kicks this one down to Taz Vang Bell around the 10-yard line, who tries to direct traffic, eventually sandwiched down at the 25-yard line. And that's where the Beefeaters are going to start off this second half here at home.
So, again, just a straight-ahead inside return. I thought the ball would be going to the other side, the way that the Rams were kind of lining up. Tazzy Vang Bell, the OFC Special Teamer of the Year, trying to direct traffic, good return, good coverage downfield there. Ball's on the 26-yard line, John. So again, the Beefeaters, long way to go.
McCallum's numbers from the first half are on 1 of 4 passing, 3 yards. No interceptions, though, unlike Devin Smith, who came in and threw 1 pigskin into double coverage, which was picked off by the Rams in the dying seconds of play. So, the first offensive play of the game in the second half for the Beefeaters is Taz Vang Bell on the ground, and it's a gain of about 4 yards.
Yeah, just an inside zone play here. You got the slice back coming across here. To here we can see the slice. He picks up the unblocked defensive end. Straight ahead zone play. Good gain of about 4 or 5 yards. Now let's keep it going. Again, as we see, quarterbacks are starting to shuffle in and out a little bit here.
McCallum comes out. Devin Smith goes in. And remember, Devin Smith, well, he's only thrown the ball 1 time in this game, and it didn't go into a Beefeater's lap. He's got 3 weapons to his right side. He's hoping to fare better on this second snap of the game for him. He's going to hand this off to Van Bell. Van Bell over to that right side. Almost slipped, it looked like to me, Ron, before he hit the pile at the 35-yard line. Now, what do you do here if you're Gavin Lake and the Beefeaters, knowing that there's still plenty of game to play with, but I mean, the scoreboard hasn't been in your favor.
The fact that they were lining up really, really quick, I think they were going to try to go for it, but I think they're going to punt the ball here.
The only person not trying to sell it the entire time was Spencer Foster, who was literally walking off the field where the rest were trying to play theatrics.
Yeah. You were looking at a 3rd and 2 there on your 35-yard line. That would have been, you're very, Brandon Staley-esque of the Chargers. Trying to just forget it. We're going to go for it on 3rd and 4th down here. I like the idea. I wouldn't have minded them to see them go for it, though, either.
A beautiful punt handled at the 50-yard line. Not enough yards given by the Beefeaters. That could be 15 yards, could it not, Ron? Because the ball was still in the air.
Yeah, that's going to be 15 yards, but we see a flag on the other side of the field as well. Let's see how they both kind of go against each other here. I don't know if we had a hold or an illegal block or something, but I think these penalties might kind of offset each other a little bit here.
They were 10-1 in 2021. They avenged that only loss to the Saskatoon Hilltops in the national semifinal last game, 17-14. And here are the Rams continuing their redemption tour. Heck, Ron, they traveled 2,001 miles via the air. That's 3,200 kilometers for our Canadian fans, mind you, to be at this championship game. And they are not, and I mean they are not, letting off the gas pedal as far as the defense is concerned, shutting out the Beefeaters at home through the first half of action.
Yeah, and just to kind of follow up, it was both the flags were that no yards penalty, so 1st down for the Rams. Look for that ground attack to continue.
From the 44-yard line, they will continue to go after the Beefeaters. What a hit, though, coming down the pipe from Keyshawn Cuff to, pretty much stop the running back in his tracks.
Yeah, Mo Kadri, the other linebacker, was there as well. Both of them absolutely met him in the hole. Great job. Nowhere to go. Gain of about 2 yards on that, John.
Sounds real cliche, but for both Corey Philpott and Gavin Lake, the coaches for the Rams and Beefeaters respectively, how much do you just say the cliches in the locker room being like, listen, guys, you got 2 more quarters of football left this season. For some of you, it might be 2 more quarters left in your career. Lay it out all on the line.
That's exactly what you've got to say out for these guys, because there's a lot of, last year players on both these teams. Both of them are very, very veteran teams. You know, anytime you get to a championship game, you lay it all on the line, and you're going to remember this for a long time.
Culver flushed, and he'll be sacked. In on the damage is Jordan Fletcher.
Yeah, that's the first time they've actually got to him and got the sack this time. So again, they brought a little bit more pressure that time as well, and that time the big man out of Connecticut got home with the sack.
Well, I mentioned McCallum's dismal numbers, 1 for 4 in the opening half. How about Michael Culver? 9 of 18, 50% passing run. He had 114 yards, 37 to Osho was his longest, but he did throw that one INT, which was picked off by Devin Smith, who seems to be periodically taking over the quarterback role now in the second half.
Well, he's a much different quarterback than McCallum as well. He brings a little bit more with the leg value as well, so look for a pull or something like that coming from him.
Pigskin takes 2 bounces after the 20, but unfortunately for the Beefeaters, they really can't get up the field, and to your point, Ron, the coverage just immaculate, not allowing Drew Lawrence to go anywhere.
Yeah, just great coverage across the board. You're trying to make one man miss and then get some blocks on a return to get some positive momentum. You know, he makes a man miss, but there's no follow-up. They're so disciplined in their lane coverage.
David Osho is averaging 30 yards per play. 90 yards, 3 catches, 37 was his longest. But other than those, Ron, we haven't had a big play yardage-wise in this game yet.
No, it's been a really ground and pound type of game. It's a great football game to watch.
It's the definition of Canadian football.
Yeah, it really is. I love this type of brand of football. Let's play physical defense.
3 swag to the line. Play action for McCallum. McCallum off the fingertips of a Ram. Huge defensive play by Kyle Claret to knock down the ball.
Boy, oh boy, he was going to be off to the races for a little bit of a gallop on this. This is the call that the Beefeaters had against the Fratmen. It's that inside zone. It just reaches out to get a fingertip on it. If he doesn't, we're going to be talking about a huge 98-yard touchdown. Instead, it's just an incomplete, but it's really close, John.
Beefeater fans got pretty much on the edge of their seats here at Alumni Field, and, well, all for not for now, mind you. 10:49 remains here in the third quarter. McCallum, does he have a free shot as the flag is thrown? He skips this one off the turf, though. Incomplete pass. We'll see what those pesky orange flags say about this.
Well, I think this pesky orange flag is going to be going against the Rams. I believe that they lined up offside, but we're just going to double check on that.
And let's face it, despite a limited amount of miscues by the Rams, I mean, if you take those out, this has been complete domination, at least defensively.
Yeah, it's been false. It was a false start against the Beefeaters. The penalty was declined. I thought it was offside.
Should they not have just blown
I thought
that play dead then?
Yeah, that should have been dead. But
officials are people too.
Yes, they are.
Hey, you were giving the kickers praises earlier before the game.
It's been the kickers all day.
All
here,
game,
you know,
all the points on the board. 2 field goals, again, from Tato Araya. And then 4 safeties conceded by Leo Centino has made this, well, a 14-0 game in the most Canadian way possible. Well, we should have thrown some rouges in there, too.
Well, they haven't been close enough yet, but they're just going to...
And he is going to kick this one away. However, one of the returners stayed back all the way at the 50, allows the skipping rock to come to him. He'll be put into the spin cycle at the 45-yard line. Ron, do you like that decision?
How it turned out, yes.
No. You can't play Captain Hindsight. I want to know now.
You're getting to the point where you can't keep giving up safeties every time. You've got to make a play on defense. They haven't really done anything offensively to hurt you. It's been the field position that's hurt them. So yeah, kick the ball out, play defense. Maybe you can make a play on defense, get a sack, try to move it down a little bit. I don't mind the call. I would have punted it the first time around, not giving up the twos, but.
So everybody wags to the line. Culver fires a dart. That's sort of like a receiver screen, and I think that's Kabongo in on the catch, and he'll gain about 8 yards on this play in front of his bench.
Yeah, see, this is kind of what I thought they were going to do a little bit earlier, is try to get that wide receiver screen. This kid is electric with his ball, with him with the ball in his hands in open space. He makes a guy miss, makes another guy miss, and then he's all of a sudden off for an 8-yard gain on just a simple step-off route.
Beefeaters offense in the opening half, minus 35. For the visiting Rams, 213 plus. That's the tale of the tape so far. As the Beefeaters jump, free play for the Rams. It's a pitch to the right side, up to the 30-yard line for the first down.
The ball came out there at the end here. I believe it's going to be a first down because the Beefeaters went offside, but I think the ball came out. They're talking about it here a little bit more. The Beefeaters definitely recovered it there.
More zebras than the Toronto Zoo trying to make an official call here at the 30.
I'm just waiting for the officials to offside the defense. Penalty declined. They're going to say he was down by contact. First down for the Rams on the 29. So, again, Beefeaters, they got a hold. You gambled a little bit, gave them field position, punting the ball.
Well, I go back to that trickery we saw from Leo Centino, because you're right. It looked like he was going to concede the 5th safety in a row and decided, no, I'm going to punt this one away. And like you mentioned, it could have been smart, or it could be detrimental, especially if the Rams get the first TD of the game here.
Well, something I'm noticing is there's not a high safety, so they're just matching up across the board.
Culver thrown down at the 30. It should go down as a sack, as a tandem of Beefeaters got in on the action, including Dylan Thomas.
Dylan Thomas, Cody McRoberts also there. I was just saying to you, John, what they're doing is they're selling out. There's no high safety, so they're playing man across the board, and everyone else is coming. So huge pressure is coming from both defensive fronts. Everyone's kind of abandoned that high safety look that you normally see on passing downs and stuff like that in the Canadian game. Let's see if these defenses continue. And if they start to go a lot more matchup, watch for the linebackers. Then you've got the backs sneaking out of the backfield. Those are the big plays that are coming.
2nd and 11. 3 weapons to the left side as Culver rolling out to that left side. The pass is blocked. Almost like a basketball-style stuffing right now, served up by Toby Gubanyanyi.
Yeah, the defensive back / linebacker, he's playing that 2-back position. You just seen him roll right into it. He thought he had a receiver, and all of a sudden, boom, the big man comes up, knocks it away. That's what you were hoping for now. Okay, because giving up the single is not the same as giving up the two. You don't mind giving up the single here because then you're going to get out of your end zone.
Well,
so don't be surprised if they try that pooch punt again.
I was just going to say that last time in the opening half where...
He's onside. No, that's the punter. I thought that was an onside man. I was like, wait a second
I honestly think he's just going to try and do another beautiful coffin kick. His last one was from the same vicinity and landed at the 5-yard line on the Beefeaters near sidelines. Is he going to try and take a shot to the end zone? I think he is. I don't know if I agree with that call. The Beefeaters drop the ball at the end zone line, and he just gets out by the skin of his teeth. They're going to have the worst field positioning to start the day for a team that had, minus 35 yards of offense and had their quarterback 1 for 4 in the opening half. They now have to go 109 yards if they want to get their first touchdown of the game.
Well, I think it was going to be 108 yards, but now it's going to be 109 because there was a flag at the end of the play as well. So it's going back.
Half the distance to the goal.
So because he got it out, it's not a single.
But you mentioned the penalty will
now
take it half the distance back
to all the way back, so we're going to go back to the 10-yard line here.
Oh, so the penalty...
It was against the Beefeaters.
Right, but then that's...
No, because once you get to the end zone, you get the ball at the 1-yard line.
You hit the nail on the head there. It should have been at the 20. It's back at the 10 after the penalty, which is a lot better than being at the 2 and then back at the 1, which is what I thought was going to happen.
For a second there, and then... cooler heads prevail. But again, this has been a story of this defensive line and the pressure.
London hasn't touched the turf even on the deep side of Langley's side of the territory.
I don't think so, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, whether it's 108 or 100, I don't think we're splitting hairs here, friends, as... This will be a handoff to Van Bell. Van Bell trying to stutter step out of the back, and it seems like nothing is working right now offensively for the Beefeaters. I think that was Justin Coular, the defensive lineman, on the tackle.
Yeah, they're getting absolutely bullied up front.
But Van Bell with almost like a Le'Veon Bell style stutter step out of the backfield, and the Langley just went, yeah, we see you.
They're. Tazzy Van Bell, he is a difference maker. He's got next level speed, but he's got to have that cut back in there for it to happen. There's just nowhere to go. There's such disciplined gap control on this defense.
So a 2nd and 10 play coming up here with 7 minutes remaining in the third quarter. McCallum's got to watch out. He's going to be sacked from behind, put into the spin cycle, and sacked maybe a yard behind the line of scrimmage. The Rams again hunting it down. Defensively, they've been a gem all day.
Yeah, this is just a 3-man rush, and he beats his man off the edge and sacks him. So it's just, he's got no time to set up. They dropped 8 men into coverage on that particular play. There's going to be nowhere for it to throw here. There's just nothing you can really do on that.
Tyler Eckert was named the defensive player of the game in that win over the Hilltops with, a major 4 tackles, 2 sacks, and a fumble recovery in the fourth quarter that set up the win. He gets the sack on McCallum there, and I'm wondering if you just concede the safety again, as this one is skipped over the head of Centino, and they take the decision-making right out of their punter's hands. It will be the 5th consecutive safety conceded in this game by the home team.
Yeah, in that particular case, because of where you're punting and everything else, I think I would have taken the safety on that. But man, oh man, for going back to the offense here, you've got to make a play. You've got to have something, some type of answer in there. A lot of times, John, you and I have known each other for a long time. I've coached this game for a few years.
You like to take gambles.
I like to take gambles, but, at what point do you go, I got nothing? I don't know what else to do. This is a national championship game. You've got to have something. You've got to have some type of trick up your sleeve. You've got to have that one play to inject a shot of adrenaline into your team.
But to that point, Ron, they started off the game with an attempted onside kick. They got the ball, but they were offside. The play came back.
Yeah, and that kind of has been the tone setter for the Beefeaters.
You try and get tricky at the end of the second quarter, switching up your quarterbacks, and the very first pass of the game from Devin Smith is intercepted in double coverage.
Yeah, so, you've done a couple things, but there's got to be, I haven't seen a lot of step off. I haven't seen a lot of stuff like that for the Beefeaters, and I think that was something that they could take advantage of.
Well, I'm sure when Leo Centino went to bed last night, he was hoping he was going to put points on the board in this 113th Canadian Bowl action. I'm sure he didn't realize it was going to be 5 consecutive safeties. As continuing to stay on his feet is Mario Johnson. Johnson with room and blocks down the far sidelines. There's a Beefeater hurt back at the 30, and then on the Beefeaters 30, eventually going down is Mario Johnson. Well, I think this play's got to come back though,
This is way back, and the blocker knows it as he started walking off the field right away. This is bad, kids. You cannot do that.
Oh,
it's a blindside
my word.
block. That is a headshot. I think he should be ejected for that, because he clearly hits him in the head here.
We're going to probably see it one more time here on the replay, and kudos to Mario Johnson for keeping this play going, but when you do that, you need blocks, and I don't know if this was a legal one right here. Ugh.
No, that you can't. That's the definition of a blindside block.
And he's needed help to carry off the field, Ron. This is grotesque.
Yeah.
As Gabe Reichert, the 6'4", 215-pound defensive lineman, can't even get up on his own accord.
Yeah, so that's you cannot do that in the Canadian game. That young man's got to sit down for the rest of the day.
Well, again, if you're the Langley Rams, I mean, time is of the essence for you. You got 6:14 remaining in this third quarter in a 16-0 lead.
Okay, but now they're in their end zone. They're in the back of their end zone. That's their mistake.
But it is a 1st and 10 play, Ron. They still have some matches to play with to burn the Beefeaters. Now, this play,
fumble.
This ball looked like it might have come loose at the end, but it looks like Langley ball.
Yeah, but this is the change of the field position. This is something that needed to happen. Okay,
Now,
it's a self-inflicted wound here by Langley. They shouldn't have taken that penalty.
I agree.
And look at what's happened now. Now all of a sudden, your whole thing is run the ball, play defense. Run the ball, play defense. Don't allow them first downs. Now all of a sudden, you need to get a first down, or you let that spark, that glimmer back in.
Imperative for the Beefeaters defense to stymie them right now.
Yes, it is.
And
Absolutely.
hold the field position battle. Culver trying to change that. Has 2 weapons to his right side. He's going to throw this one. It's caught. He can't hang on to the ball, though, as it's loose. And there's a flag at the end of the play as Culver got dumped in the backfield.
Well, Culver got absolutely lit up here at the end of the play for roughing the passer. We talked about composure, John. That is one that the pass is incomplete. It is a huge hit. Knocked the ball away. But it's the end of at the end of the play here. That's going to cost him composure.
Devin Smith, I don't know if that gentleman intercepted the ball from him earlier, but that was a revenge hit right there, Ron. There was a little nastiness behind it.
Yeah, that was this.
And to be honest with you, I'm not trying to throw any mud on the Langley Rams. We talked about that blindside hit earlier on the kick return. That wasn't a blindside hit. The quarterback, if anything, puts his receiver in a very comparable position to take a licking.
Yeah, again, that's just a big hit coming from the safety.
He did get up to his own feet, which is a sigh of relief if you're Langley fans. Again, that's David Osho, who led your team with 90 receiving yards in the opening half of this championship game.
Yeah, he's a great receiver. He's been kind of the eye that you're trying to get the ball to in the passing game. But you can't take that hit. You can't do that hit at the end of that. You've got a blitzer coming through here.
Well, the hit on the quarterback moves the ball all the way up to the 31-yard line.
And look at the difference now. So that's a 15-yarder instead of punting from your own end zone. First down.
Or I was even a couple plays ago. We were talking about potentially conceding their first points via a safety. Tripping up the running back. I'm pretty sure he did that from the stomach while laying on the ground. Nick Samus, check it out here on the replay.
Yeah, Samus does it. Again, Cody McRoberts is right there as well. There's a number of guys just sitting around. They're just making a dog pile. Nowhere to go. Look at that submarine tackle coming right through. Sees it right away, just blows through. Now, that was the one that earlier on that boot, the quarterback pulled it and went out. They went through the same type of thing, so they knew it was coming, and that's kind of what they've schooled for it.
Beefeaters need the ball back. It's as simple as that. Down by 16 points here at home in the 2021 Canadian Bowl. as Culver didn't like what he saw down the field, so he tucks it and runs it between the hash marks up to the 35-yard line.
Yeah, again, just great coverage downfield. We see big number 40 there, Nick Sanis, and again, I've said his name a number of times, Cody McRoberts, the linebacker, cleaning things up, and they're nowhere to go. Great job of coverage downfield by the Beefeaters. Very little separation from any of the receivers from either side of from either team. But man, oh man, we're talking about that 15-yarder now, John. Look at the difference now. Okay,
Yeah.
You're gonna, potentially you're gonna have the ball at midfield. Imagine if you're punting that.
Well, the 25-yard difference is the reason he's punting from the 20 and not his own end zone. As again, for Arreo is able to get this one off, almost fumbling it away. Are the Beefeaters back at their 48? They do recover.
Okay.
Drew Lawrence kind of biting his lip on that one, but he'll be all right.
Ball kind of hung up a little bit there, so at the very end, he does a good job of attacking it, but you just got to finish that. The Beefeaters need you're getting to the point now. Look,
Listen,
you need a drive.
Their most offense is through LJ Dyer on 4 carries, 15 yards in the opening half.
Yeah, and we haven't seen him much in the second half since the first quarter, really. So,
McCallum's at the helm now in the gun. He'll have Tripp swag to the line to the right side. 4 options there as he's going to throw this one over the near side behind the intended target and Spencer Foster, somebody that he had continued to target in that last championship game against the St. Clair Fratmen, including one for a 41-yard touchdown strike late in the 4th.
Yeah, and again, I think this ball is tipped. I think it's a great play design, so this is why you tackle one side. He catches that. If you make one man miss, you're off to the races. But again, you see the linebacker, I believe it was number 45 for the Rams, coming off there, or number 46, I think it was Godman there, the defensive lineman.
You can see the defense of the Beefeaters down the sidelines. They know they have to be perfect for the rest of this game to give their offense a chance. Plenty of movement now for Devin Smith, who's between the pipes, as he will also feel the same results. He'll be lucky to get back to the original line of scrimmage. In fact, coming away with the pigskin was Pauljeet Dami, but they're going to say it's still Beefeater ball.
Yeah, and again, Tyler Eckert was the defensive lineman again, just coming right through, cleaning everything up. Look at, does a little stunt, coming right through the middle, and who's left there to clean it up? It's been that story all day.
To your point, Bell, McCallum, McPhail, Klubine, Dyer, and now Devin Smith. It really doesn't matter who's running the rock, throwing the rock, or touching the rock right now for the Beefeaters. It ain't going anywhere.
No, it's just the gap control from this defensive line has been absolutely incredible for the Langley Rams. There's nowhere to go. The coverage is so good downfield that they can lock up man-to-man, and then all of a sudden, you get the pressure when you can bring that fourth guy.
Always a bridesmaid, never the bride for the Langley Rams is being carried off the field right now and limping a little much is number 62, Bryson DeMello Jefferson, so we hope he's okay. But going back to my point about the Rams, 0 for 4 in Canadian Bowl appearances. They had to face the Saskatoon Hilltops all 4 occasions before today in 2019, 2018, 2014, and 2012. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride, and yet here they are, late in the 3rd quarter, so close to capturing their first ever Canadian Bowl. As skipping off of a tackle or two is Daniel Kabongo. Kabongo stays on his feet. Kabongo with speed. 50, 40, 30. Kabongo turning on the Jets. 10, 5, touchdown! Kabongo and the Rams!
Wow, we talked about it earlier. I said I didn't know when, I didn't know where, but there was going to be magic in a bottle happening at some point that was going to break this game open. John, we might have just seen it. That was that might be the nail in the coffin. An 80-yard punt return for the touchdown. And again, I thought this was over his head. He did a great job tracking it there.
And just keeps going ahead. And going and going. And something you mentioned about the Beefeaters' Tazvang Bell was that, he's got speed. But what do you need to get that speed? Well, you can't be in the far right lane of the highway, my friend. You got to get into that fast lane. Yep. He found the lane, opened it up, got over to that left side of the highway, and just started to hammer down the gas pedal. And like you mentioned, I'd say easily 60 of those 80-plus yards untouched, unseen. Turn on the afterburners, baby.
Well, we get to talk about our first major, but again, it's not from an offense; it's from a special team.
That's right.
This has really been the calling card of both these teams.
Does that make the cut for Chris's Country's cut?
Absolutely,
Okay,
it does.
we'll go check them out at chriscountrycuts.com. As the snap hold is good and the PAT is through. And just like that, it's now a 23-0 game for the Langley Rams here with 2:22 remaining in the third quarter.
Yeah, you know, for the Beefeaters, that was the play that you were hoping to get. The Rams got it now. Now you're in a position where I'm not sure what you have in the tank to come back with 2 minutes and 2:22 left in the third quarter.
Well, and we mentioned in the last drive for the Beefeaters, they were trying to change personnel, both at the running back and the quarterback position, trying to shake it up with different formations. Nothing is tricking the Langley Rams defense, and yet I was talking at that time, the Beefeaters defense had to be perfect. Well, technically, they haven't let any points. It was a special teams touchdown, but man, oh man, the salt in the wound hurts nevertheless for London fans.
Yeah, but here again, John, not to beat a dead horse, this Beefeater team, we've seen them pull lightning out of the bottle on more than one occasion. You're down 14 points
with
on the road,
left.
with 2:56 on the road, and you end up winning that game. Never say never with this team. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Well, time is starting to click down, and it is an ironic and the beautiful thing of sports as Taz Van Bell stutters past the 20, cuts in on the 25, still using his speed to stay on his feet at the 38, and I thought took a little bit of a late lick for my liking, for either squad for that matter, is number 2 laying down the boom, and that's Bako Wande.
Yeah, Again, this is what Taz Van Bell brings. He's that same straight ahead, scat back type of guy. Make one guy miss, and all of a sudden, 30 yards is chewed up. There's the difference in the game, though. Langley scored that. The Beefeaters got stopped.
It took till 2 minutes and 22 seconds left in the third quarter to get our first major of the game as Daniel Kubongo, the BC Conference Rookie of the Year, on almost a coast-to-coast punt return touchdown, and he had to dance, he had to drive, he had to break a couple ankles, but then he turned on the speed as Devin Smith pulls this one. Smith's going to have to get rid of this ball. Smith is going to try and take a run instead and get maybe 3 yards to the near sideline.
And here's the difference between McCallum and Devin Smith. Devin Smith has got the athleticism to get to the edge and do that. McCallum is more of a pocket passer. He is a leader. He really is a heart and soul player for the Beefeaters. But you gotta get chunks now.
Okay, so we saw stints, though, of Devin Smith throughout the 2021 OFC regular season, but for the most part, the general was McCallum.
Yeah.
How does this affect the flow of your army, though, knowing that you've pulled your general at the halftime break, and now you're kind of interchanging him with Devin Smith?
You're saying to your team that we're willing to try anything, and in a championship game, we said it, you got to spend all your bullets.
2 wag to the line. McCallum looking to fire this one to the near sidelines. This is caught. Staying on his feet for 2 more yards, and gaining it is Mitchell Spence.
Well, that's a first down now. That's the first down that they've got in the passing game. Again, positive yards. You're past the 50 now. So again, you try to build some type of momentum, some baby steps.
The Rams had 10 first downs to the Beefeaters 2 over the first 2 quarters of action in this 113th Canadian Bowl. I mean, it's pretty much the same MO here in the second half.
Yeah, it really has been, except for they've broke that one play, and that's what's gone up for the 23 now. But again, it's not something that is completely out of reach. You get a score, you get a drive here, you get back in this game.
Watch out for Spencer Foster on the near side. I knew that was going to happen as McCallum fires it to him. But guess who also knew it was going to happen?
Yeah.
The Rams defense smothers the play for a limited gain. This time in on the tackle is Jesse Godman. I mean, we've said Godman's name an awful lot throughout this game. The defense wins you championships. Godman, Eckert, these guys are just straight up killing it on the turf right now.
Yeah, another guy who's been around the ball a lot, who just, we don't get to call his name a lot, has been Cole Barron, the other linebacker. So these guys are just flying to the ball. They're big, they're athletic, and that was kind of what I talked about with you off the air, John, coming into it. When I was watching film, I was like, they're so athletic across the board, and they don't. And again, in the game of offense, you just don't see them miss tackles.
throws this one. I thought he passed the line of scrimmage, not to the officials though, as it's completed down to the 30-yard line. The biggest passing play of the game comes at the very end of the third quarter, as it is Mitchell Spence reeling it in. But Ron, I thought he pulled a little Brett Favre action there.
He was really, really close. I was looking at it, and we both were kind of just, yeah, we got the replay. But there, again, good job coming back to the ball. So, again, you're looking for some momentum. You're looking for something positive in here. John, the Beefeaters got a drive going now. Now, can you finish? Can you do what no one else has been able to do the last little while? Score a touchdown against these guys.
Yeah, the Langley Rams are now just 1 quarter away from capturing their first ever Canadian Bowl in franchise history. And this is a team that has failed on 4 different occasions, every time losing to the Saskatoon Hilltops. In fact, Ron, if you include their actual whole history of being known as the Rams, you have to include an 0-5 then, because the Surrey Rams lost 35-18 in the Canadian Bowl back in 1992 to the Ottawa Sooners. So if you're a Rams fan, your history dates all the way back into the 40s, I believe. In fact, 1948 to be exact. And yet, here in 2021, you are so close to capturing your first ever Canadian Bowl.
Yeah, you know, if you're the Rams, the score in the fourth quarter is finish what we started. You know, we've dominated this game all day.
2 field goals again from Tato Araya set the tone early. 17 yards and 18 yards respectively to make it a 6-0 game after the first quarter of play. And then over the second quarter of action and the beginning of this third, it was all Leo Centino, a lack of Beefeater offense, safeties conceded on 5 consecutive occasions to extend it to a 16-0 lead. And then eventually, with 2:22 remaining in the third quarter, our first touchdown of this championship game comes from the BC Rookie of the Year, Daniel Kubongo, on an outstanding punt return from midfield all the way to pay dirt. So here we go. First play of the fourth quarter. 1st and 10 for the Beefeaters. McCallum pump fakes, but he'll just be sacked down to the ground. And is that Tyler Eckert again?
It is Tyler Eckert again.
I mean, this kid might be the defensive player of the game.
This guy might be this might be the player of the game, you know. He is just, it's play after play. They're just blitzing that gap, and the Beefeater offensive line, which has really been a big plus for them all year, just has not been able to hold up against that pressure that the Rams are throwing at them.
And it's interesting, Devin Smith stays on the field, stays in the huddle, but doesn't go back to the quarterback position. McCallum stays there. Smith thought about rotating to the left side, goes back to the right. So play clock's expiring, but there's PA announcements going on. A little confused, but the players aren't. McCallum, again, looks like it's back-to-back sacks. You want a face masking call, Ron, and you're not going to get it.
Yeah, I thought he grabbed the face mask in there. It's hard to tell. I think Gavin Lake is absolutely screaming at him, saying the same thing. I think the Beefeaters, they're at a point now where they got to go for it. You've got to lay everything out there.
What's a shame, too, is if you didn't lose those yards on those back-to-back defensive jams from the Rams, I'd say, okay, maybe you take a shot at kicking a field goal, just get some points on the board. I know I'm a cynic, Ron. You don't like that ideology, but I'm always a big part of let's get momentum on the board first and build from there.
Well, with 13 minutes left in the game, John, you know, momentum's kind of...
Oh, it's dissipated.
It's disappeared. You need a chunk.
So is this the chunk right now? Devin Smith, who's already thrown an interception in this game, trying to huck it deep, has a man. Incomplete defense by the Rams prevails here, and it's a turnover on downs. Again, this Rams defense created 13 turnovers against the Hilltops in their last game. They're continuing that MO here in the Forest City today.
You know, I'm going to say it's number 23 here for the Rams. I can't really tell. We're on the other side of the field here, guys.
Well, Nathan Murray, the DB, was late to the party, and he's actually lucky that his teammate, I think it was Ryan Basilson, was able to get his fingertips on it. And, I mean, Ron, I think we've said that at least 3 occasions today where the Beefeaters did have a man deep, but a Ram fingertip, a Ram hoof, a Ram horn just gets a nick on the pigskin.
Just a hair off the old,
the old
beard.
chin, that's right. So it'll be Culver and the Rams going back to work here from Alumni Stadium. He's flushed out of the pocket. He's going to have to just chuck this one away, and he does. And in fact, I actually believe that's Trey Jones at the helm now.
Yeah, there's Jones in that number 16. He was in there. So I don't know if that was for a play or he's in now.
Yeah, I was going to say Jones goes over to the sidelines, but that's just to get more instructions when he goes back into the huddle. So if you're Corey Philpott, are you just feeling so controlled on this game right now that you're okay giving some other reps during a championship game, or is this strategic at all?
Not for me, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I prefer to go a championship game with the same guy taking the snaps all game.
Now, however, from my understanding from looking at the season, this gentleman right here in Trey Jones had almost equal opportunity, if you will, at the quarterback position to Culver. In fact, it seems like Culver almost won the job over the last couple games. But again, for a guy that hasn't watched a whole lot of Rams football, that's a bit of an assumption.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. It's good to see the young man get some snaps, I guess, but...
Well, at the end of the day, yeah, you have 23-0 lead, 12 minutes left in the fourth quarter of play, and, I mean, let's face it, Ron, I'm just going to call a spade a spade. You travel 2,000 miles via air. I don't care if you're a bench player or not. I'm looking at the coach saying, get me in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Give me a memory.
Yes, just a taste. A taste of Canadian Bowl victory, which the Rams are 11:48 away from doing. They're going to punt this one away, and it'll hang up in the air right into the sunlight, eventually reeling it in. Is that Van Bell? No, it's not. Sliding down at the 45-yard line. I think that's Nick McKenzie on the return.
Yeah, actually, I think it's Mitchell Spence on the return.
Number 5.
Number 5? I thought it was 6. So, yeah, you're right, Nick McKenzie. You can't just... I'm absolutely amazed with
Is it safe to say, Ron, it's now or never for the Beefeaters? You're down 23-0. We kept riddling off the fact that this team was trailing 14-0 with 2:52 left in their last game and won 15-14. However, miracles don't happen every week or they wouldn't be called a miracle, Ron. They got to get some points now.
Yeah, I really thought the last drive they had to get some points or some momentum going there.
I agree.
But boy, oh boy, if it wasn't last drive, it is now.
So a healthy run play right up the gut to the near hash mark will go through LJ Dyer, and Dyer will gain about 6 yards on the ground.
Yeah, again, a good solid run, just the inside zone play. They've had some success with it. It's kind of been their bread and butter all day. But, boy, when they know it's a pass down, a situation, you know that they're bringing the heat because there's been no separation from the defensive backs to the receivers. So they're either rushing 3 and dropping 8, or they're coming with 8 and they're dropping 3, basically, is what they're doing.
So 3 weapons to the left side for McCallum. McCallum slips on the turf, and in on the potential sack will be number 11 and Keegan Vickland.
Yeah, again, just the backer there. Just really unfortunate. I think the ball just kind of slips out of his hand, and he goes down to catch it. So, but again, you kind of see the MO. They bring pressure, they bring pressure, and they don't miss tackles. It's... people are going to say, well, it's kind of boring. It's kind of this and that. It's like, are you kidding? This is, I'm an old football coach. This is a great football game to watch. This is exciting. It's hard hitting. If you don't get excited about seeing a defense like this, which you don't see in the modern day of football anymore.
2 field goals,
yeah,
5 consecutive safeties, a punt return touchdown, and that's included the 23-0 score you see. And you mentioned it, defense truly wins you championships, Ron, and that's the case right now for the Langley Rams. I mean, this is a team that had to take down the 22-time Canadian Bowl champion Hilltops to get to this game, as once again, breaking off of a couple tackles and using his speed down the near sidelines. For a second, I thought he was gone. Mario Johnson with his first big return of the day after, you remember, a Kabongo punt return touchdown earlier.
Yeah, just off to the races here. Again, the ball kind of holds up a little bit at the end here. The Beefeaters are going to get called with no yards at this for 5 yards. I didn't see that, but anyway. And again, just really good job. Just get north-south in there. Young returners, make the first man miss. Get going. Stop trying to take it from one side of the field all the way across the field to the other. You're going to score in a straight line. Get north-south. get going to the end zone, make a guy miss along the way, but stop running sideline to sideline. I hate that stuff on special teams.
Less than 9:40 to go in this 113th Canadian Bowl, live here on CJFL TV, presented on Beefs TV. As Culver rolls to that right side, takes a nasty hit to release the ball, intercepted by the Beefeaters, their second pick of the game. And does that open up the door of opportunity? Just a whistle.
I don't understand the play call. Maybe it's just me.
I think they were looking for the nail in the coffin there, to be honest with you, Ron.
Yeah, but your MO is run the ball, play defense, run the ball, play defense.
And what does that usually do? Kill clock.
Yeah, and the clock is your friend. All of these factors going into it. I don't understand taking that deep shot. You tried that once, it didn't work out. You tried it on the other side, it didn't work out. You're trying to push the ball, and maybe the thought is, oh, we'll push the ball downfield. It's not like they're going to get a first down anyway. But we've seen, Johnny, I say it. We have seen sillier things happen in our broadcasting days.
Well, London's going to need some downright silly things to happen as they trail 23-0 here in the fourth quarter of play. McCallum looking into the sunlight, stepping up out of the pocket, throws it as he's hit, and it's intercepted by the Rams. Anything you can do, I can do better.
Wow, it's just,
Yeah. At some point, you have to tip your hat over your brow and say, you're the better man.
Yeah, this is, I get it. It's the pressure coming off the defensive line, which sets everything up.
Well, and you see it here on the replay. Look at the shadows. I mean, he's staring right into that sun. I mean, maybe I have to see it one more time. I thought he might have got horse-collared as he threw that rock, but maybe it was a clean hit after all. Regardless, it's an INT for the Rams, and it puts them in beautiful field position.
It's been the pressure for me off the right end. He has absolutely dominated the tackle for the Beefeaters.
Do the Rams get their first offensive touchdown of this game? Culver to the far sidelines, double smackaroo laid down on Darren Pritchard.
Yeah, again, just trying to get the ball out. I thought this would be something that we'd see, getting the ball into the space to these playmakers on both sides of the field. I thought we talked about that earlier at coming out of the half, but really, just there's been nowhere to go in the passing game for either of these teams. And again, people say, well, it's not dynamic offense. Yeah, but football is not always about offense. Everyone wants to magnetize the game.
Well, and specifically in the Canadian sport, field positioning, it's clock management, and not so much today, but usually this time of the year, weather plays a huge factor.
Yeah.
So Culver, looking to go to the end zone, has a man open! Touchdown, Rams! Langley strikes from 15 yards out, and with 8:03 remaining in this game, the Rams are climbing the mountain to the 113th Canadian Bowl.
And just a great seam pass here. All you're doing is you're just running a skinny post here. So here you can kind of see it. If we can get the replay up here in a couple seconds here, you're going to see he does a great job. He led him perfectly this time. He had enough of it on there. We've seen those a couple times, just not quite there, not quite there. We've seen the ball underthrown a couple times. That time he was able to finish it. Great pressure, but able to step up and finish what he started.
15-yard TD pass. It's the first offensive touchdown of the game for the Rams. They haven't needed it, though, Ron, as the PAT is good to extend this now to a 30-0 game. They had 2 field goals from their kicker, Tato Araya. 5 safeties conceded by the Beefeaters. A punt return touchdown from Daniel Kabongo. And now their QB, Michael Calvert, hits pay dirt from 15 yards out.
It took us to 8 minutes and 3 seconds left to go in the fourth quarter for us to get our first offensive touchdown, in the game. First time they've scored on offense in a couple weeks as well.
It's not the 50 points that the Hilltops put up here at Alumni Stadium, but I imagine in this championship, rather than a semifinal, this hurts just as bad, down 30-0 at home.
You kind of look at the clock now, if you're the Beefeater players, and that realization of that what you've dreamed of, what you worked on, what you started back in February, March with those OATs and everything else.
Now,
it's coming to a conclusion.
Nothing can take away, though, from the Beefeaters that they are now back-to-back OFC champions, and nothing can take away the history they've made today, as this is the first ever Canadian Bowl played in the Forest City. This one, stymied down to the 15-yard line, spinning off of a tackle, and eventually thrown down to the turf at the 30 is L.J. Dyer. And here you go, Beefeater fans. 7:55 left in the game. Your team needs something now.
Yeah, well, we've got a flag on the play here. It's going to be offside against Langley, so they're going to make him re-kick the ball here.
Interesting. So I don't know if we still have the replay of the last touchdown or not from the Rams, but again, this is the first offensive touchdown of the game, and as Ron mentioned, it only took till 8:03 remaining in the fourth quarter, and that technically will give us our shout-out for Chris Country Cuts. Our holiday orders are going out now. Go to chriscountrycuts.com, and again, Chris Country Cuts presenting all the touchdowns here in the CJFL Championship. The first one coming from Daniel Kabongo, and then Michael Culver finding the receiver deep in the end zone. You gotta love those Canadian end zones too, Ron. Plenty of real estate to go to work if you're a receiver.
Yeah, and this is something that, a lot of young players, they want to throw to the front of the end zone. Kids learn to throw to the back of the end zone. In the Canadian game, you open it up more, and it extends the field without really extending the play. And it's such a huge advantage if you can teach young quarterbacks to throw it deeper into the end zone.
So the redemption tour will come to a conclusion today for the Langley Rams, but not before picking up the BCFC Championship, the National Semi-Championship, and as L.J. Dyer skips past the 40 with a nice return, it won't make the difference, though, in what the Langley Rams hope will be the 113th Canadian Bowl in their grasp.
And we see another flag down there. I believe that this one was going to be declined. I think it was offside again against the Langley Rams. But I believe, like I said, I think this one was declined. It really, John, like the last time we were here up at Western, we had the pleasure of calling the Beefeaters
National semifinal.
Yeah, the national semifinal game. And it was a dominant performance from the Hilltops.
Right from the outset.
From the get-go. This has been a dominant performance from the Langley Rams.
But at a grinding pace.
At a very slow, methodical, grinder pace.
The Rams take a timeout down at field level, and to your point, Ron, just 6-0 after the first quarter. 2 field goals.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a Beefeater fan, and you're laughing going, we were down 14-0 with 3 minutes left. We got this in the bag. Well, as the second quarter comes around, you concede 4 straight safeties. However, you're a Beefeater fan, you go, well, we're only down 14-0, and we literally gave them 8 points up in the process. This is a good position to be in. Well, the offense never got going in the second half either, Ron. Another safety for the 5th consecutive safety given up with 6:30 remaining in the third quarter. And then finally, Daniel Kabongo. I mentioned it. The BC Conference Rookie of the Year. There's a reason why he was the Rookie of the Year, Ron. And we saw it right there. The skills, the pay the bills, and the jets to go coast to coast. And he goes for the punt return touchdown to make it 23-0. Well, with 8:03 remaining in this game, Chris Country Cuts finally gets his first offensive touchdown of the game as, again, the quarterback and Michael Culver finds the back of the end zone from 15 yards out. The dog pile for the Beefeaters moves to the 50-yard line, but this will bring up a second down.
Yeah, so again, for me, the point I was going back to was, dominant performance, offensive side of the ball with the Hilltops. This is really being the story of this game, the story of the season for the Langley Rams and for the Beefeaters has been having that defense. And it's kind of fitting, very poetic, that the defense has actually dominated this game.
Yeah, the offense sold the tickets nicely here at Alumni Stadium as a healthy crowd showed up to the Forest City, but the defense won you the championship if you're the Langley Rams time and time throughout the season. Maybe the offense stuttered, but the defense was a brick wall.
Yeah, it really, and we're talking like it's over, like realistically.
Well, 3rd and 2, this is a big play for the Beefeaters at midfield. In fact, the quarterback's going to keep it, has to get past the 55-yard line. Did he though, Ron?
Ooh, yep, they're just giving it to wow.
That's a healthy spot from the officials.
Yeah, it was really close. That was kind of like right at I think this is only the second time that we've been across the midfield against this Langley Rams team.
And you mentioned it, this has been a far better performance than the last time the Beefeaters played here in what was a national semifinal then against the Hilltops. And I know this sounds so cheesy, but you get your butt kicked in a semifinal by 50-plus points, and then you come into a final a few years later, and let's face it, don't get any points on the board. But there's only one more step up from here on, and that's being a national champion. As Devin Smith stiff arms his way out of a potential sack, goes on the ground, gets out of bounds. In fact, a nasty little block laid there at the end of the play by a Beefeater rocked the world of a Ram in front of the bench.
Yeah, again, this is the escapability that Devin Smith offers that just flat out McCallum doesn't. McCallum is definitely the leader.
With that being said, though, Ron, if it was so evident, was that not something you would put into the game plan from scratch then? Or is it something where you just went, oh, wow, everything flatlined, we have to try something different?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think they probably had it in the game plan for some type of packages and a few different things, but, you're right. Everything flatlined, and you've got to make some plays. You've got to jolt some enthusiasm, something into it.
Tyler Eckert's like a sperm whale out there. He's just swallowing Beefeaters whole. I mean, the potential running back in Tasvang Bell made it to the line of scrimmage, got swallowed up by a 43 gray uniform, and went absolutely nowhere henceforth.
Yeah, this, I know we don't have a vote in whoever the MVP is going to be, but if you don't pick it from one of these 2 or 3 defensive players for the Langley Rams, I don't know what game you guys watched.
And this is a fake handoff, and they're not fighting. Oh, no. So a 2nd and 2 will turn into what, a 3rd and 3?
No, that was 3rd down.
Oh, even the officials on the score clock have started to give up at this point with 4:48 remaining here.
Yeah, no,
Western University.
that was a 3rd down and 3 to go, and I believe it was the defensive end Jesse Godman. We've mentioned his name. He put him up for the most valuable player of the game award. It's been such a dominating performance by that defense. The one kind of the surprise factor for me is they really leaned on number 27 earlier, Derek Bass. We really haven't called his name a lot since the first half.
Almost being used as the bulldozer to lead the charge this time, is again coming in. They're going to say he caught it and is down, as Darian Pritchard receives another pass from the quarterback in Culver. So it'll bring up a 2nd down play.
And I think you're going to have an injury timeout here. Well, somebody ran over to the bench really quick here for the Beefeaters.
Well, it's been a heck of a Canadian Bowl here in 2021. The Langley Rams are just 4 minutes and 5 seconds away from capturing their first title in program history. Again, they had to make the long trip, 2,000 miles, to be here today. Wasn't quite the defensive battle that I think Ron was in, though, in 1938. That's when the Montreal Westmounts lost to the Regina Dales 4-3. You wanted a taste of best? You might get a taste of best here, as it's a pitch play to the left side. Normally when that happens, it is Derek Best. A little slow to get off the turf this time, though. And you know what? It's not necessarily the tackles, Ron, that I think are injuring these guys on the field. It's the actual turf, like giving out on their ankles as they're being hit.
I think that was a combination of being hit and everything else.
And that was Joel Klassen, I apologize, on the carry. So they do go to Klassen, and to your last point, we haven't seen a lot of Derek Best now.
Yeah, and he was their bell cow earlier, so I don't know if something happened. I don't know if it was a decision just not to get him, but, it's...
So, sadly, Ron, going back to the history, I mean,
1999.
Eh? Well, yeah, that was the one. You should have been MVP that game, in my opinion.
I was a kicker.
Oh, that's why it's such a low-scoring game.
That's right.
But in 1999, that's the last time on November 13th that an OFC team won the Canadian Bowl. That was when the Windsor, a.k.a. Fratman, defeated the Okanagan Sun 32-29 in the City of Roses in this province. Well, here we are, Ron, 22 years later, and the OFC is still looking to hoist the Canadian Bowl through any of their franchises here in the CJFL.
Yeah, and it really... It's frustrating to watch.
It just shows you, though, the domination that the Prairie and Western Conference have on this league.
Yeah, they have a different mentality out there. It's the club teams. You play together for so long, and it's such a they develop it at such a young age together, and they all come up together, and it's just that group that builds and builds and builds.
One point I didn't make yet in this broadcast, that's an imperative one, is that the Langley Rams, they're not just a football team. They got basketball, they got hockey. I'm pretty sure they even have volleyball or baseball. My point, though, is that it's a whole community of Langley Rams in different sports, and they do truly support each other. Their U15 boys team actually gave a special jersey signed by the entire squad to give them some good luck. That jersey's got some luck in it, all right, as they're up 30-0. As this is a gander to the near side, staying in bounds just for now is Tyler Eckert on the carry. So we've seen him do damage on the defense, and now he's getting a taste on the offense too.
Yeah, the big man's going for a little bit of a rumble, gets himself a carry and gets a first down on that.
That'll be the 7th different carrier in this game for the Langley Rams.
Just a closer. This kid's just being really dominant. And again, it's been a really great performance. Again, I'm going to stress it over and over and over again. If you have something to take away from this game, this team tackles. They didn't miss tackles. And that's the difference. That's it in a nutshell. There's Best. There, we finally got him back in the game, number 27.
Not to beg your pardon, it was Colton DeJean that time in on the carry. Yeah, and DeJean, by the way, in the opening half, he also, so that's now the 8th different carry in the game. And what I find really interesting, Eckert and DeJean, they're both defensive guys. In fact, Colton DeJean was an defensive, I should say, all-Canadian. He had 23 solo tackles, 10 assisted tackles, and an interception returned for a touchdown along with 1 sack. His teammate and defensive back, Kyle Claret, 3rd consecutive year of being a defensive all-Canadian, 3 interceptions, 23 tackles, and a knockdown and forced fumble. So we knew the MO of the Rams was defense first, and that is truly shown in the donut on the scoreboard here at Western.
Yeah, and again, I'm just going to go back to what I was saying before. Take something away from this. Watch this game. Watch this team tackle. Spend time in your practices working on your tackling.
A man is deep off the fingertips and incomplete, looking for a 41-yard TD strike to Mario Johnson.
But again, I believe it was Drew Lawrence, the defensive back, was actually there to knock it away. But again, going back to it, practice the tackling. I'm an offensive coach. I've been an offensive coach in and around the area. John, you know this, and this is not a patent.
Since 1938, no.
But I have been involved in local football for over 24 years. You cannot stress it enough. It is something in the modern game. Everyone wants to play receiver. Everyone wants to play running back. Everyone wants to play quarterback. Kids, learn how to tackle. You're going to go further. The more skills you have, the better you're going to be. Tackle.
This one, again, touches the clouds here at the Forest City. Taken by London at the 20. Should be a 15-yard, no yards given by the Rams penalty at the end of this one. But again, time, the biggest enemy of the Beefeaters now. As again, this is a team that conceded 5 consecutive safeties to try and stay in this game and continue field and clock management. It went for naught as the last 2 touchdowns, the last 14 points put on the board through 2 touchdowns by the Rams.
It was kind of like what we talked about. It was, if you're scoring the fight at home, it's kind of like 100-90. It's been that 1-point victory on every round for the Rams.
That's right.
And it's just been the cumulative blows.
And now you're getting knockout punches in the later rounds.
Yeah. Now you're getting the knockdowns, and it really,
they're getting the Tyson Fury treatment.
Yeah. So really, it's been fun to watch. It's been fun to call. I hope you people at home have enjoyed it. We've got 2:38 left.
McCallum takes the low snap, pump fakes, gonna have to get rid of it. Doesn't find a target, goes for a run instead, picks up maybe 5 on the ground up to the 41.
Just nowhere to go. Again, these defensive backfield just plastering the receivers. Just nowhere to go.
I mentioned the wind for the kickers, but ironically enough, it seems like the wind affected the quarterbacks more than the legs.
It's cold, John. Like when I was out at halftime at field level, it is a cold, crisp northern Ontario wind in southern Ontario. There's no other way of describing it. It's dry. It's not snowing. Thank goodness.
McCallum, deja vu all over again, has nowhere to go, and is patty caked down to the ground with the assistance of Chase Mullison.
Yeah, and again, Cole Barrow, the other kid that we talked about a number of times, number 44 for the Rams. Again, just pressure after pressure after pressure. But it's not just that; it's nowhere to go on the back end.
London
The
had
receivers just
minus
can't.
35 yards total offense after the opening
Yeah.
half of this game. I don't know if they got back to 0, Ron.
I'm not sure, and I wouldn't really want to see the final
But
stats.
wouldn't that be like the true story of this game?
Yeah.
That, like, the Rams win this, and you talk about how do they win the 113th? Well, they held the opponent to minus yardage on their home turf.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So once again, it's Smith, desperation time, trying to tell his receiver to get deep. Has this one down, off the fingertips, incomplete. Turnover on downs. Rams ball with 92 seconds left in this championship dance.
Off the fingertips of two receivers there, John. It's a wing and a prayer. You're trying to get something going there. You see a rollout. Good job rolling out. But again, the other thing, he's rolling out. He's looking to escape. You had a Langley Ram player having the edge still. It's just the discipline of this defense is next level. I've never seen anything like this at this level of football before. Such a dominant performance from a defense.
As a baseballer, I'm told you see the ball, you hit the ball. And you're talking about just the barometric science of football. You see the guy, you hit the guy. And that's exactly what the Rams have done from opening kickoff here into the potential final whistle 92 seconds away. As they're going to try and barrel roll this one right up the middle. It's the big man and Cole Barron now on the carry. I mean, they might even give the ball to you, Ron, before this game's over.
Well, no, I'm not sure I can make it down to get to the handoff in the next 125 that's left. It's going to take me a few more minutes to get down there. But, John, as the inevitable outcome of this game is kind of, it is what it is at this point. Kudos to Coach Gavin Lake and the Beefeaters and the Langley Rams and into all the programs for the amount of work that they've done. We didn't know we were going to have a season this year.
That's right.
And we really,
And a lot of things had to be done to make sure there was one.
Yeah, but you lost so much momentum last year with players potentially graduating out and not coming back and moving on with life and going to college in different areas. You lost so many players. These teams have completely restocked and reloaded in a year we didn't know you could reload anymore.
And think about head coach Corey Philpott of these Langley Rams. He won a Grey Cup in 1994 for the BC Lions. He's going to add to BC football history here today in the final minute of this 113th Canadian Bowl. And for a guy that set a CFL record, Ron, remember that back in the day, with 22 touchdowns in the single season, which was eventually broken up by Milt Stegall in 2003. The guy that was named Quick Six for the Lions in the CFL, well, he's going to get his first ever Canadian Bowl victory as the head coach.
Just for the record, on the other side, Quick Six got a little bit of a bath. A little bit
Just as I said
early.
that. That's
Just
right.
as you were saying that, I kind of looked over and lo and behold, he was getting a little bit wet there. This is, again, it's just being a complete, utter. I'm going to sound like a broken record, and you guys can put that in there in the comments if you want. I don't really care. But it's just defense, run the ball.
And the Rams are going to run the ball into the end zone, Ron. How about some salt for your wound with 30 seconds left into pay dirt from 7 yards out?
Yeah, this is just, it's
I don't know if I agree with that last one, Ron.
No, with the first down there, you're up 30. I thought, well, maybe they're going to take a knee or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
To be honest with you, I'm not even sure what number got it because the way the sun's coming in out of the...
Well, and the fact that they've had now 8 different carriers from the backfield.
Yeah, I think it might have been I think it was 27. I think it was Best that actually finally got the ball in the end zone for the offense there. I'm not 100% sure, but with 30 seconds left to go in the game, it's just being, man, like, practice your tackling.
Yeah.
Take something out of it.
Well, Ferrero Araya, still in the last quarter that name messed me up, Ron. He's happy to get the PAT on the board. He's the gentleman that started off this game with a 17 and 18-yard field goal to make it 6-0 after the first cue. So once again, you've been watching the CJFL Canadian Bowl on Beefs TV, brought to you by Leggett Injury Lawyers. Your loved one's future is why. Go to leggettlaw.ca. They are trial-tested expertise in medical malpractice and personal injury. Not the kind of personal injury, though, that the Beefeaters have suffered here today, down 37-0 at home. As you do see it down at field level, the RCMP, oh, you gotta hide me, Ron, are here. They're gonna present the Canadian Bowl down at field level.
And again, I'm just going to throw it out there after that touchdown for Chris's Country Meats. Great day. Go talk to Chris. Get a ribeye, nicely marbled, nicely aged.
I feel like you and I deserve a marbled filet mignon in the house for all these shit. But who knows? That's not going to happen. A skipping rock actually off of a Beefeater. That's a live ball, but they are recovering. It does the home team down at the 30. Could you imagine if the Rams had got that ball back?
Yeah. At that point, you're just going to knee it out. I would have said that last time, but who knows?
Yeah, we would have been wrong then, too.
Yeah, I've been wrong before. Someone who's done the broadcast with us in the past, Matt Schneider, loves to point out how much I'm wrong about things.
Yeah.
Well,
you got to think he is the lackluster half of two brothers, the older of which I believe just won the Frank Tisdale Trophy for the U Sports Coach of the Year for the Queen's Gales.
Congratulations to Coach Steve Snyder for that award.
Matt might get one day, mind you.
It'd be the participant award. Love you, Matt.
I think Matt's driving over here right now. As again, in the gun goes the QB for these Beefeaters. And now rumbling up the field with a head of steam in between the hash marks, knocked down at the 37-yard line. Cody McRoberts on a wildcat offense here in the dying minute of the championship.
You're just giving carries like to some of your guys who have been like the stalwarts.
Well, that's what the Rams were doing in the last drive, except they got a touchdown out of it.
And again, I understand it. I get it, but as we see, timeout for the Beefeaters.
Well, again, the Langley Rams, ladies and gentlemen, traveled 2,001.59 miles by air to the Forest City for this championship game. They have been in existence as the Rams in BC since 1948. They have hailed as the Langley Rams after being the Surrey Rams before that since 2010. And after having not one, not two, not three, but 4 Canadian Bowl appearances be absolutely crushed by the Saskatoon Hilltops, the Langley Rams look like they're going to capture their first Canadian Bowl championship.
Forever the bridesmaid, never the bride. Today the Langley Rams can finally get that monkey off their back. They feel a little Steve Young, San Francisco 49er there right now.
Will the Beefeaters catch the bouquet for the future, though, as McRoberts is thrown down to the turf? 1 second left. Are they going to make them play out one more play here in this Canadian history? No, they're not. The Langley Rams in 2021 have climbed their way to the top of the CJFL, and they are hailed as the 113th edition of the Canadian Bowl. They are your champions. Congratulations, Langley. 5th time's a charm. You are the Canadian Junior Football League champions.
Dominating defense, speed from the linebacker positions, great coverage downfield, excellent special teams. Congratulations to the Langley Rams. Not seen a defensive performance like that in a very, very long time, John. It was an absolute pleasure to watch.
You want to talk about special teams? Well, again, it simply came down to Tato, Ferreo, Araya. 2 field goals in the opening quarter. 6-0 Rams. You want to talk about special teams and defense? Well, the defense of the Langley Rams forced the special teams of the Beefeaters to then concede 5 consecutive safeties to make it 16-0 late in the third quarter. But eventually, well, we kind of felt it coming, Ron. The touchdowns eventually had to hail in this 113th Canadian Bowl, and on 3 different times, from Daniel Kabongo on a punt return, Michael Culvert with a 15-yard pass, and a 7-yard gander in the final minute of play, made it a 37-0 victory for the Langley Rams here in the 113th Canadian Bowl.
The greatest line, John, to coin a phrase that you've said, the greatest line in sports. You battle each other for 60 minutes on the field, and you have the respect and the admiration for each other to shake the other man's hand. At the end of the day, one person's better than the other. One team's better than the other. It's the bitterness of sports. It's the finality of sports. That's why we do this, though. It's for the moments like this, for the Langley Rams. And congratulations to the Langley Rams. A great season, a great team, a great coaching staff. congratulations to the Beefeaters, who, let's be real, we didn't know if this was going to be their year or not. We didn't know what to expect out of them. You know, the coaching staff has changed over. The recruiting rules changed. How you could do the OATs, all of it. The Beefeaters overcame all those obstacles.
Well, they also overcame being down 14-0 with 2:52 left in the OFC Championship, a game they lose, and they don't host this national championship dance here today. They come back with 15 unanswered points with 2 minutes and 52 seconds in Windsor to beat the St. Clair Fratmen and now host their first ever national championship. But unfortunately here on December 5th, which was a noon kickoff Eastern Standard Time, and a point you made pretty, it's a good point, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, essentially, if the Rams were back home, they'd be digesting their breakfast right now. Well, they were digesting Beefeaters all day long. They got their fill, and they end up prevailing with a 37-0 victory.
Again, it's just being, it's a class act. It's a class organization, the Langley Rams. It was a physical, hard-hitting game. It really, and I've said it on more than one occasion, in the maddenism of football that everyone likes to play, everyone likes to see those 54-49 games, and they're great to watch. They're a lot of fun, but every once in a while, you get a defensive team. I take you back to the 86 Bears, that 46 defense, the Baltimore Ravens, that Ray Lewis-led defense. It just, you have to appreciate and you have to understand the absolute beauty, the pure elegance of the domination and destruction that a dominant defense can bring you.
Well, and again, let's just quickly recapture the redemption tour for these Langley Rams, who again were always the bridesmaid, never the bride, on 4 occasions before this, losing all 4 times to the Saskatoon Hilltops. But this year, not only did they go 10-1, they avenged that only loss to the Hilltops in their last game in the semifinal. The game before that, Ron, to your point about defense, a 7-4 victory over the Okanagan Sun, tying the lowest BC final in history since 1978. They truly rode their defense up the CJFL mountain with sturdy hooves, and the Rams are your Canadian Bowl champions as a result. So it looks like they're going to announce the player of the game is actually Daniel Kabongo. So we knew he was going to play a factor eventually, and he did with 2:22 remaining in the third quarter. That punt return touchdown, in hindsight, truly ended up being the nail in the coffin. Because not only the fans, the team, everybody seemed to be deflated after that.
But not only that, as he almost broke it a number of times. He was that X factor on a number of different occasions. He almost broke 2 or 3 of them.
And I'm not trying to compare players here, but you think of a guy named Taz Van Bell who had glimpses of hope in this game, but couldn't get that real estate to turn on the Jets. To your point, Kabongo found the real estate, and when he turned on the Jets, there was no doubt about it. So Tyler Eckert, I think that's a smart call, is your defensive player of the game. And I mean, how many times did he introduce himself to McCallum? In fact, I think he might have said hi once or twice to Devin Smith, too.
I think we called his name during this broadcast about 12 times with tackles. And again, the impressive thing for me, they were just tackles, but they were dominant solo tackles.
So now we're going to get the offensive player of the game. And remember, Tyler Eckert was the defensive player of the game last game for the Rams with 4 tackles, 2 sacks, and the fumble recovery in the fourth quarter that set up the win. So the quarterback, Michael Calvert, ends up winning the offensive player of the game. And let's face it, by halftime, he was operating at 50%, 9 of 18, 114 yards. But in that second half, he finally got the first touchdown pass that he needed, and he was able to control the offense in what was a real slow and grinding pace. They sprinted to the finish in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, this is something I've been looking forward to seeing for quite a long time, John, as we see the RCMP bringing in the Canadian Bowl Championship. 113 years of history coming on the field here at Western, John.
Yeah, the Mounties carrying a 113-year-old Canadian football trophy here onto the field. It can't get much more Canadian than that, eh?
No, absolutely. The Mounties will be doing this later on today with the Vanier Cup. Next weekend with the Grey Cup. We get the first taste of championship weekend here in Ontario. as the Langley Rams, the team for out west,
as the Rams start to sing, they've realized their dreams. They are your 2021 Canadian Bowl champions. Congratulations on the 113th occasion. It's the first ever for the Langley Rams as they've climbed their top to the way of the CJFL mountain.
Congratulations to the Langley Rams, and again, congratulations to Coach Gavin Lake, the Beefeaters. Great job from the organization, the Beefeater organization, pulling this off, allowing us to have this national championship game. Boy, John, I look forward to the next one that we can probably do.
Yeah, the Beefeaters, I mean, I know it's a tough pill to swallow now, losing 37-0 at home, but nothing can take away the fact that they did make history today. This was the first time that the Canadian Bowl was played here in the city of London. And for Coach Gavin Lake and the rest of his crew, they sure as heck will hope it's not the last, as they will be working their butts off to get back here next year. Well, from our football familia, I gotta thank my boy Finn and Camden, as well as the camera crew and Alex Slyhoff, our technical producer and director Adam Melrose, for making this entire year of Beefs TV possible. Ron Forwerda, thank you so much for joining me on this journey, good friend. I mean, it's always fun in the sun with my boy Ron.
Yeah, it's always been a pleasure, John. You know, we haven't done a lot of games together. Life happens and stuff gets in the way. For us, you know, this is kind of becoming old hat, you know, doing these games, but I love doing them. I thank you again for making me sound good, Adam for making me look good because he doesn't put me on camera, and you, of course, for doing all the heavy lifting. Well,
we love you out there, CJFL fans. From our familia to yours, it's been an excellent national championship. The 113th Bowl has come to a conclusion. The Langley Rams win their first ever championship, 37-0. For the rest of the crew, I'm Johnny. You have yourself a blessed day.